Bowser fighting. Touchdown, UCF.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Jerome Ford, big seam. Jerome Ford is revving and tearing it up. Touchdown, Cincinnati, 79 yards.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
They dropped a snap. Purdy throws off his heels, and it's intercepted.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Elliott is a single back. Give it to him, and he's in. Touchdown, Dallas.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, good afternoon on this Wednesday, middle of June the 15th, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. On the set, to my left, Paul Catalina. To my right, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Back behind the scenes, Emery Winter, also Garrett Ross and Jack McKenzie. And earlier today, Baylor, Kendall Rogers, our guest yesterday on the show, who hinted at Mitch Thompson, the MCC coach, former Baylor assistant, put out a tweet today around 9 o'clock or so saying that he was going to be named. I happened to see Mitch this morning when I was running, and then I went over to MCC, and he was on a Zoom meeting with assistant coaches. Then Baylor released it, and it's official, Paul Catalina. It's the most popular hire and probably also the best hire.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best hire that they could have made. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's got, JUCO World Series title in the last 2 years who, look, under Steve Smith, and Steve Smith would tell you this, and I'm sure he did, is that, Mitch Thompson built the talent of that program. He was the recruiter. He was the guy who went and got everybody. He was the one who swayed people. Look, David Murphy will tell you that, when you hear it here. Mitch Thompson, he understands the Baylor culture. He understands, the way of life here in Waco, how things work. It is an absolute best hire, I think, that Mack Rhoades could have made. And it seemed like a no-brainer at first, but Mack, he likes to cover all the bases, and I'm sure he did nationally. We know he did nationally. So, but Mitch Thompson was the one that really fit in. And look, from the day that Mitch Thompson got fired on, it was like there was the air leak in the Baylor baseball program that, unfortunately Steve Rodriguez himself couldn't stop. But Mitch Thompson comes back, and as good a recruiter as he is, with full scholarships likely coming in baseball in the next couple of years in the equivalency sports, this is really good because he was a guy who was roping in talent like David Murphy and Jason Jennings and tons of major league guys. Kip Wells when it was 11.7.
Craig, you got to know Mitch. You did a weekly segment with him when you were doing the show on their old radio station where we are. Always enjoyed that segment. He was always very obviously accessible. That doesn't mean he's a great coach, but he does have an incredible resume.
Yeah, he's got a great resume. I'm not always for the popular choice, and it seemed like, the fan base really wanted him for not just this last go-around, but for quite a while now, or at least a segment of them. And I don't always think the fan base knows best, but I do think in this case that maybe they did. And that's why you see Mack Rhoades going with Mitch Thompson. I think that sometimes maybe the most obvious thing is the obvious thing for a reason. And if you were looking for the most obvious choice to replace Steve Rodriguez and restart this program, I mean, how about the guy who's 10 minutes away, who's won national titles and goes to the national tournament pretty much every year and puts guys into the D1 levels on a regular basis and puts them in the minor leagues on a regular basis, more regularly than Baylor was doing it, I mean, quite frankly. He's a great guy when it comes to baseball, and just talking to him about that, whenever we'd have a segment, we talk about the games that they had coming up in that, but really the most enjoyable part was talking about the other stuff in baseball that was going on, whether it be scholarship limitations and how he would navigate that, or whatever other things might be the big buzzy stories at that time. But great guy, great coach, knows talent, knows how to win, knows Baylor, and it's not like the big splash in terms of like, let's go get the the rising up and coming, surefire, kind of like a UT hire, like the Tom Herman or whatever. He's not that guy, but I think he's still a splash hire because people that know baseball know Mitch Thompson.
Well, there's no question. Here's a few people that know baseball and Baylor. Jason Jennings, former Major League star and also Baylor star, on Mitch Thompson. We're going to hear from David Murphy in just a second. Hell yes, I'm pumped. He's at Baylor. He is Baylor. He is Waco. No one else that can bring true passion to Baylor or for Baylor that Mitch will, and he is the perfect guy to re-energize our program. That's from Jason Jennings. He will join us live today at 3:45 from former Baylor coach Steve Smith, who also at one time did fire Mitch Thompson, and Mitch then started his 9-year tenure at McLennan College. I'm very happy, excited to hear the news that M. Thompson, that's the wrong Twitter handle, but you get the point, has been named the new baseball coach at Baylor. Congratulations to BU Mac Rhodes on making yet another great hire and Sikkim. Here is from MCC AD Sean Trokum. She told me earlier today when I saw that Mitch was on the Zoom meeting, was told he was in the meeting with assistant coaches and also players. I couldn't be more thrilled for Mitch. He gave us 9 great years. That's all we could ask. She also eventually said he has put us on the national map, which allows us then to move forward to sustain the success for whoever we hire next. And here's former Baylor outfitter. We will hear in just a second, Terry Mohajir, the AD at UCF, is going to join us here in just a moment, by the way, and Cincinnati's John Cunningham, the AD. Here is former Baylor outfielder and Rangers broadcaster, former Rangers outfitter David Murphy.
Former Baylor outfielder, major leaguer, and also a part of the Rangers broadcast team as well, David Murphy on Sikkim 365 Radio. What was your reaction when you heard Mitch Thompson's back at Baylor?
I was thrilled. I understood after the old regime left, when Coach Smith and Coach Thompson and Coach Jennings, when their staff was, I don't know the best way to say it, when they kind of left and they wanted to move on and they moved on to Coach Rodriguez and his staff, I was understanding of that, even knowing that Coach Thompson wanted the job at the time, because after 20 years or so of the same staff, I mean, you want to see what a new regime would look like. But now that Coach Thompson has gone off to MCC and he's had success as a head coach, I mean, I think there's no question about his ability to recruit. So combining those things now at the Division I level at a place like Baylor where, he's been very influential in Waco and that community and part of the Baylor community. So I'm sure he would love to see nothing more than that program to thrive, and I think he's the perfect guy for the job.
Do you think also that he knows where everything is, even though things have changed? He's still been at Waco. He's monitored what's going on. He knows what's going on, and Mitch knows the kind of player that Baylor needs? I
think so. And I guess it's kind of hard to compare across generations because, college kids and incoming freshmen are different now than they were when I was coming in 20 years or so ago. But either way, I mean, he's up to date on what's going on and he knows how to recruit. And like I said, I mean, I think this is a guy that has never, I don't think he's ever gotten complacent. I think he's always a guy that has stayed hungry. He's wanted to win at whatever levels that he's at. He's got that tenacity. And I think, like I said, I think that those characteristics speak to a guy that's perfect for this job.
How much was he a factor in your recruitment to Baylor under the Steve Smith regime?
He was huge. I'll be honest in saying that Baylor was not my first choice. I had grown up always wanting to go to Texas A&M for no rhyme or reason, really. My sister went there, and just going to a few football games and stepping on campus, I loved the environment and that it was close to home, where I grew up in Northwest Houston. And so I still remember, when recruiting opened up on July 1st of 99, and he was one of the first phone calls I got, and I hit it off with him on the phone. I met him after playing in a tournament down in Austin, and just really enjoyed just conversing with him, talking about baseball, and that only grew. And in my time at Baylor, he encouraged me early on. He told me that I was capable of being an All-American and that it was just a matter of work. There's always limitations on how much coaches can work with players at the college level, so he was always encouraging me to get cage time in on my own and to spend that extra time, working hard, getting in the weight room, because I came into Baylor at 175 pounds, so he was always encouraging me to work hard in the weight room. And once those things added up at the end of 3 years, there's a lot of those things that he encouraged me to at the very beginning that took place.
Jason Jennings, you, Max Garner, among others, have already responded to this. Kip Wells. This seemed to be the right hire, and yet it's also the most popular hire. Do you get that same type of feeling to energize the program?
I think so. And, I'll be honest, I don't know who else was interviewed, and I stay busy enough with Major League Baseball where I'm not in tune to the college program, so I don't know who the other candidates were. I don't know what their resume looked like, and I'm obviously going to be biased because I'm a Mitch Thompson fan and spending the 3 years with him that I did. But, I would say that the program is in good hands and the future of Baylor baseball is bright.
That's David Murphy, former Baylor outfielder, also a longtime Major League Baseball outfielder as well, now a part of the Rangers broadcast on the hiring of Mitch Thompson, Baylor baseball from across town. After he was across town, now back at Baylor to replace Steve Rodriguez. We are now joined by UCF AD Terry Mohajir on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Terry, we really appreciate your time. And we have an audience that's grown nationally since even late July when the Texas-Oklahoma story hit, but also because of the expansion of the Big 12. Could you imagine that it was going to go as fast as it did for you and the others, and also even a year later be able to play in the Big 12?
Yeah, I can imagine. First of all, thanks for inviting me on your show, and it's pretty cool coming after David Murphy. That's exciting, and it's nice to meet you. Yeah, no, actually, we were ready. So I think we were ready to go, and it wasn't that it's just about timing. And there was a crack in the door, and I think we were prepared to do it, and we were just happy that we got the invite.
How long, has the process been? I know that you weren't the athletic director when they started doing things like building new stadium and all of that, but when the decision was made, this needs to be a Power 5 program. How long has that really been in a process for UCF? I
think it started when they started beating Power 5 teams on a consistent basis. And, one of the things that I knew, I left a pretty good situation to come here because I thought that there was an opportunity and to get into the Power 5. Plus, it fits my personality. And, this is a really, really edgy fan base, and they're very active. I think right now in the Big 12, we're the second largest living alumni base behind Texas in the Big 12. So we're in the average age of our alumni is 38. How about that? So I think this all kind of goes together. You have very savvy. It's a very good academic school. This campus was started by the Kennedy Space Center. 30% of NASA's employees are our graduates because of our engineering, aeronautical engineering. And so I think our folks and our key stakeholders in our community was ready to go when this week we get back, we solved the crack. And the day that I got here, we started preparing for it with the right materials and the right, going out, talking to people and it all worked out.
How much did you see untapped potential early on coming on board of how much there still is left to explore with this fan base and all the capabilities that the UCF has?
The sky's the limit. I knew a lot about the school. I worked at another startup program at Florida Atlantic University with Howard Schnellenberger for 7 years. And we built a stadium. So I did a lot of research on the stadium before we built theirs. They built theirs before UCF built their stadium about a couple of years before we did. And so I kind of really did a lot of research, seeing the trajectory, but I saw how things on this campus changed when they moved from the Citrus Bowl to campus and just the fan base. We get about 12,000 students a game. I mean, that's good for any program in the country. We're young, we're youthful. We've got some work to do on operating capital, some facilities. But as far as a location and bringing new eyeballs to the Big 12 and having 3 time zones, this is going to be a fantastic. And my familiarity with the Big 12, I worked in the Big 12 twice.
Yep.
And I was there when the Big 12 merged with the old Southwest Conference, and I was there the second time when TCU was added into the conference, and Nebraska and Colorado left. So this is my 6th conference realignment, and so I had a little, unfortunately, I had a little experience with it. So it's just been a really good opportunity for us.
For those that don't know, Terry was at Kansas a couple of different times as a part of his career resume before now at UCF. Terry, there's no question that UCF is a growing brand. There's no doubt about that. The Big 12 has reached out to schools before, and as Paul mentioned, it did not work out. After the Texas and Oklahoma story popped, how soon did either Bob Bowlesby or somebody within the Big 12 or somebody representing the Big 12 contact you?
He didn't contact. I sent a note to him.
All right. What did you say? What was kind of an idea of what you said?
I didn't say anything because we're in the current conference. I just, here's my contact info.
Okay.
And so here's my contact info, and then that was it.
Okay.
So,
all right. That's self-explanatory.
Don't know why you would want this, but if you did want it, here it is.
You want to play a bowl game? Yeah.
Best of luck to you during conference realignment. Here's my contact info.
Terry, how big is it for you guys to be able to make this move while the Big 3, Miami, Florida State, and Florida are all also in transition right now?
Well, when you say in transition,
at least football-wise.
Yeah, I think I think the timing is good. I mean, you can see in recruiting, we're battling everybody in our state and in the region and the SEC and the ACC. We're getting PSAs, prospective student athletes to commit to us, even over some of the blue bloods. And I think a lot of that has to do with our fan base, the eyeballs, the region that we're in. The location, the Metropolitan University. We got you guys, when we're all in the league together, you have to come here. We have a really nice campus, but in a very, very nice metropolitan area. And I think that's going to be the wave of the future. I really believe that. I think with NIL and all the opportunities of what you do life after college, I think some of the traditional college towns that don't have a big metropolitan base to draw from are going to struggle.
What were some of your first conversations like with Gus Malzahn when the opportunity presented itself?
Well, I mean, look, I was hired and I had to hire a football coach in February. So you can think about all the contracts, all the assistant coaches were all buttoned up and, everybody renewed. So, Gus was available. So that was good. And I was the biggest, questions I had for him is, when you put your heart and soul into something in coaching football, and those of you that are listening that knows that, especially in Texas, think about the high school coaches, everybody put their heart and soul in the game, and then you have something so traumatic happen to you. Are you ready to get back in it? That's the question you ask, and that was really more than anything. Was like, hey, do you really feel like you're ready to go? And he's like, yeah, I've been out for 6 weeks. I can't, I'm ready to go. It's like I'm ready to go get back in it. I can only play golf so much and, that kind of stuff. So, he was ready to go and he got here and he saw the campus and he started recruiting and putting together a staff like his hair was on fire. And he hadn't stopped yet. And we had a little bit of a blip with his wife's situation this past year. Had some serious health issues that were really scary, and we were able to navigate through that. Or he was, and he's back on track, and just working his tail off. We've got high level recruits coming here every single day, and the weekends, and so he's off the race, doing really well. We're doing excellent in recruiting and staff and all that kind of stuff.
Terry Mohajir, he's the director of athletics at UCF with us on SicEm 365 Radio, 365
Good job
Sports.
on pronunciation, too.
Hey,
Great job on pronunciation. Excellent.
Well, you have a last name like mine or Craig's. It's Smoak, but it's Smoak. You try to get it right, and I'm glad I did. And Mark Daniels helped me, and so did your media communications. I know you played Florida in December. I know you have them on your schedule in the future. There are other schools in Florida that Paul brought up that I think would make natural non-conference series. Is that a problem?
No, it's not. We're trying. It's just a matter of people wanting to play. And their schedules, filling up. And we were when I got the job, we didn't have any games. As a matter of fact, I still needed a game. I got hired last February. I still needed a game for last fall, and I had to get 2 games for this fall. That's like the 12th hour. And so we're just behind the 8 ball. I'm trying to get some teams, in-state teams, to play. This year we're not leaving. We're only leaving the state of Florida 3 times this year. We play FAU and we play at South Florida this year, so the rest are our home games. And so it's really, that's what we want to do. What football is meant to be played in front of people, and the closer proximity that you are to your fan base, the better it is. If you can schedule non-conference games. So we'll continue to try to do that. Our fan base is used to going to Texas, used to going to Oklahoma, used to going to Cincinnati. So it's not, they've never been to Iowa before, but it's not going to be unusual for them to come to to Baylor and TCU and Houston. And we got a really robust alumni base in Dallas and in the Houston area. So I think we're gonna travel very well, and I think the Big 12 fan base is going to see the power of our alumni.
Do you have a good Howard Schnellenberger story? I mean, you got to work with a legend like that, so you got to have some.
I worked for him for 7 years, drove him up the coast of Florida for a long time. I got some great Howard stories, and he is. Well, what kind of story do you want? I'd
like to hear. I mean, he was the one, for people who might be watching don't know, but I mean, really, he's the one who kicked college football. He and Bobby Bowden got there at the same time, but I mean, what he did at Miami, and he kind of kicked college football into high gear in Florida when it wasn't when he got there. So he's a legend, and he was kind of I always saw him as kind of a character anyway, just because of the suit and the mustache and the way he carried himself. But did you have any funny stories about him? He
was probably one of the most influential people I ever worked for in this business. I learned more from him than any other administrator or anybody else. He was just a really smart person, high-level athlete, person, class act. And so one little story I'll tell you real quick that's kind of funny. Howard was big into getting helicopters to recruit, and he would take helicopters in South Florida. It's just a lot easier because of the traffic. You got 95 and you got 81A, and so it's just easier to get from high school to high school and going in town and get a lot quicker. And so one of his very first staff meetings he had, he was talking to somebody and he was saying, we need to get some helicopters. And one of the ops people says, "Coach, I have no idea how to get a helicopter. How do you get a helicopter?" He looked at him. He had his pipe, smoked it, took about 3 puffs of the smoke, and he says, "I suggest that you open the yellow pages and start with the letter H."
There you go. There you go.
So there's little things like that. Just he was just really good to everybody, and he literally. Everybody loved him. When I worked with him, Jim Kelly, Jim Bird, Bernie Kosar, all those guys would come back to visit him. So I got the chance to visit with him. One of my highlights of, I went to a Make-A-Wish Foundation dinner with Howard Schnellenberger and Bobby Bowden. And that was one of my best dinners I ever had. I got to sit next to 2 of my favorite coaches of all time. And having worked for Glenn Mason at University of Kansas, and he was fantastic too. Learned a lot from him too. So I was very influenced by a lot of football coaches.
Terry, you have a lot of upgrading that you're doing. The facilities, you've announced that. There's no question the timeline is there. What are the priorities in order, or at least in somewhat order, do you have right now?
Well, after seeing Baylor's new facilities, I gotta go. We got a lot of work to do. So,
Yeah.
The priority is a little bit of it. We're going down 3 parallel tracks. We got operating capital, meaning your annual budget. We've got maintenance, making sure that you're upgrading and repurposing some of your facilities, and then we have new capital stuff. And so we're going down those 3 parallel tracks. We got to do them all at the same time, and we're behind the Big 12 on funding. Obviously, the other schools in the Big 12, and so we're trying to do that. We put together this Mission 12 plan that we put on our Microsoft site that kind of illustrates what we got to do to compete in the top half from a funding standpoint in the Big 12, not only from operating capital but also personnel, where we are. And in some areas we're right there. A lot of our women's sports, but then some of our men's sports, we got a lot of work to do. I think we have outstanding coaches that can compete in the Big 12 right away. But we do have some other things that we haven't been doing that we're going to have to do, like the charters and things like that we do sometimes for men's and women's basketball, but not some of the other sports like they do in the Big 12, like baseball, softball, volleyball, and some of those. We're going to have to invest in that, and we will. But that's just a transition the next 2 years.
Terry, I know that they've had like these meetings where Oklahoma and Texas are included, and then they talk about the future, and it's like they go out the door for a moment. It's been kind of weird, but then, you and the other school representatives have been involved in that now as well. But what's it just been like to kind of get to know those who you haven't known and get to see some of the people that maybe you knew previously as far as Big 12 leadership goes and sit down and start having some of the conversations about the future?
Oh, it's really good. Every conference has its own culture, and you're trying to learn, just kind of the culture of the room. I've known Joe Castiglione for a long time. I served on the college football playoff selection committee, and I served on with Joe, so I got to know him very well, and I'd say we're friends. So that, him being in the room is just normal to me, and obviously Del Conte's in there too. He seems like a nice fella, and so just getting to know some of the other ADs. I knew Jamie Pollard. I knew Mac a little bit when he was at Mac Rose a little bit when he was at Houston. So and getting to know Jeremy and it's been good and spending a little time with them and learning a little bit more about the league and the league since I've not been in it. But as far as the towns and I've been to almost every. I've never been to Lubbock, but like. Kirby Hocutt was a player when I was a football coach at Kansas. How about that?
Yeah.
So I mean, so it was you got a lot of commonalities, and I grew up I was born in Southwest Kansas. My dad worked in the pipelines out there, and grew up in the Kansas City area. So going to the Big 12 basketball tournament is going to be fantastic, and as you guys know, it's a great location, and I'm excited for our fan base to go attend this tournament.
It seemed like it has been a whirlwind. Late July, the story about Texas OU. And just a few weeks later, it was the addition of UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, and Brigham Young. And now, all of a sudden, you're going to be able to start playing football in the conference in almost a year, at least be accepted to start playing football in about a year. Has it been a whirlwind, almost a blur in some ways to you?
Yeah, it's been, and then just, the challenges of trying to, when you're negotiating to leave the conference a year earlier. That's been a little bit of a challenge been going on, but it was very professional and we got that done. And I know there was a little bit of, angst on the Big 12 part, how they're going to do schedules. And so we're glad to get that resolved. And, once we found out, one of my first calls was to the conference office, and I also called Jamie Pollard, which is the current chair of the Big 12 ADs. And so I let him know that this was happening. He was excited. And I just think it's the Big 12 is in really good shape. And I know the AD at BYU fairly well. And I know, of course, the guys that are coming in, John Cunningham and Chris Pesman, and you're getting a lot of really strong, I believe, ADs added to a group of really strong ADs. And this is very exciting. Some of the analytics that they shared with the viewership, our rankings, where we ranked, and you know, it's we're in place to be the best football conference in the country.
Terry, welcome to the Big 12. I know there's a little bit of time, but you're in, and the fan bases are excited. I think it was almost like it wasn't flawless, but it surely did happen in a hurry with what Bob Bowlesby and company did. Thank you very much for your time. We look forward to seeing you soon and also talking with you again as well. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
The Director of Athletics at UCF, Terry Mohajir, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Cincinnati's Director of Athletics, John Cunningham. He is next. Back in a moment, our YouTube channel, 365 Sports. Waco Custom Marketplace Father's Day Griller Bundle, $60 for the following. 1 duck fat cooking spray, which kind of helps you have the grill from sticking. A Meat Church bird brine. Cosmos Buffalo Wing Dust, a Meat Church Holy Gospel Seasoning, 1 Cosmos OPX1 barbecue sauce, and $20 of Marketplace gift card. That means you can go get something and put all of that on it. And then also on top of that, they have a full-fledged butcher shop and bakery. The butcher shop where you can get some custom cut steaks, maybe an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, bone-in ribeye, a prime rib for Father's Day. Whatever the steak you want, they'll cut it for you. Call them and go pick it up. And live crawfish until 6 o'clock tonight. You order by 6 tonight at Waco Custom Marketplace, and you can pick it up anytime after Friday at 4. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Payments for qualified buyers are 2.9% for 72 with 5,000 down cash or trade. TTLX or see dealer for details. Step up your ride at Richard Carr's Summer Savings Event. Find summer savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra SLT, only $432 a month, or a 2017 Buick Encore for $183 a month, or GMC Acadia for only $280 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. We pay top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always our goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
We're back on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports on YouTube. John Cunningham, the Director of Athletics at Cincinnati, joins us after we just heard from Terry Mohajir from UCF, and, of course, 2 of the 4 new members of the Big 12, and John Cunningham joins us. John, John, thanks for your time. What has it been like these last less than a year from what the Big 12 dealt with Texas OU? All of a sudden, you're a part of it, and you're going to start playing even earlier.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. It's obviously been a whirlwind for us coming off of COVID and everything that happened there. Obviously, our football program has been doing extremely well. We went to the Peach Bowl in 20, and then last year, obviously, had that run at the Cotton Bowl. Well, right around the summer of last year is when we started having some discussions about potentially the Big 12 being an option, and it's been a dream for us for a long time. We put a lot of time, effort, resources into the possibility of going to a Power 5 conference. So when that popped up, it was a big deal around here, obviously, and we're just happy and proud to be a part of it.
These are fans who were used to, John, being in a Power 5 conference, and then you guys weren't for a while. What was the response like when you were – when you were able to just tell them publicly, like, hey, guess what? We're back in the Power 5.
I mean, I can't even explain how excited we are, and especially our donors. You know, we've put a lot of resources into our program and have been heavily subsidized by the university for quite a while. And we've always felt like we are a Power 5 program in everything that we do. And we've been competing a bit above our resources. And I think our coaches are at that level and want to win and compete at the top level. So the chance to just tell our coaches, our donors, and especially our student athletes, our younger student athletes, that will get this experience. It was just fantastic. I can't even explain what it meant to us.
Is there any way you can explain how much that was amplified by also having a college football playoff run going on simultaneously? And I'm curious, as well, as kind of an aside to that, how much did that, I think, maybe inspire others across the country who aren't an Alabama or a Georgia? How much did you hear from others seeing the run that you guys were able to make and kind of breaking through that wall?
There's no question. I think it meant a lot to those institutions. I've been at those institutions before. I was actually at TCU when they weren't in the Big 12, and I was at Boise State. Obviously, two institutions that were just on the cusp for a long time and not able to really break through the way that we did. So I really think it was important. I kept talking about that. I kept talking about throughout the year. I kept saying we have pros on our team, and it ended up playing itself out in the draft. We had 9 guys drafted, and I kept saying, just look at the talent. Don't pay attention to the conference. Look at the talent of the team, and you'll see the high level that we're playing at. And the only teams we've lost to in the past 2 years are Georgia in the Peach Bowl. We had them on the road, and then Alabama in the Cotton Bowl, and we played them pretty tight. So we certainly feel like we deserve the opportunity and very thankful for it.
We just had Terry on. I mentioned that, John, and I said, so who contacted whom? And he said, all I did was share my number with Bob Bowlesby. I didn't attach anything else to it because he's a member of a conference, and so were you. Can you kind of take us through those first few days when the Big 12 got up off the canvas and started to figure out what they were going to do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we had conversations even ahead of that, just kind of, letting people know who we were, what we were about, what we were trying to accomplish over the next few years, what we wanted to be. But, when that happened, when the news of Oklahoma and Texas broke, I did make a call to Commissioner Bowlesby. I remember thinking I was gonna leave a message and let him know who I was, and he'd understand why I was calling. But he actually picked up the phone, and we had a really good brief conversation. At that time, it was just me kind of explaining our interests, which he obviously understood. And didn't hear from him for a while after that, and then got a call from him, and we were able to. My president and I were able to come down to Dallas and have a sit down with him. And at that point, it obviously went well, and he said, we'd like to have you guys be a part of our conference. So that was kind of the direction of it. It was a very simple process. I think before they went through a longer process and had interviews and had people bring presentations in. None of that occurred. This was very simple. They knew who we were. They knew us well, and we were a good fit for the Big 12.
When the Big 12 a few years ago had started to put feelers out that they maybe wanted to expand, and then that kind of went nowhere, was Cincinnati a part of those, like at least preparing for that? And then did you just kind of have to update what you had said 4 years before or 5 years before, whenever that was?
We were a part of that, and yeah, correct. I mean, we had it all ready to go. And again, I think it was very obvious who we were, what we were about. I mean, what our football team was doing at the time was obviously something we could point to. The success of our men's basketball program over the years, and all the things that we've been able to accomplish in men's basketball obviously played a role in it as well, and all of our other sports in our city and our institution, our university. So it was all ready to go. And again, it wasn't a long process in terms of that type of review because they knew who we were.
John, you kind of mentioned, I'm sure you've crossed paths with many of the people you're going to be working alongside with the Big 12. What are those meetings, what have those meetings been like? I know there's still some, Texas, I know you were involved in this, but not this. You guys are talking about this, so it's kind of disjointed right now. But what's it just been like to get into a room with your future conference mates and just kind of talk about things?
I cannot thank the conference and Commissioner Bowlesby enough for allowing the four of us, the four new schools, to be in that room. And I know I'm speaking for Terry and Chris as well in the American Conference, because we really haven't had an opportunity in the American Conference be attached since we made our announcement. So to be in that room with the Big 12 and just have those key conversations about what the future looks like. Obviously not voting members, but just being in that room has just been really big for us. And has meant a lot. So they didn't have to do it, and we appreciate it.
I saw where your football season tickets have been sold out. I don't know if that's the first time ever. Obviously, the semifinal run had a lot to do with that. How much of the future had to do with that as well?
It's all coming together at the right time for us, to be honest. I mean, I really believe our fans, they believe in Coach Fickell so much and what he's about, what he's been able to build. I think that they were going to sell that thing out, whether the Big 12 was going to happen or not. But it certainly helps, and we've created a heck of a demand for tickets around here. So it's gone really, really well.
Are you ready for the Texas versus Cincinnati, the schools in the state of Texas versus Cincinnati trash talk about what's really chilly? Have you prepared for that? What's coming in the coming years as you venture into our state to play sports?
For us, it won't even be a question. We know what chili is. It's that chili that you put on top of spaghetti and then pile on the cheese. That's chili. So whatever you guys do, you do. But it's a cultural thing here. I'm still getting used to it a little bit, to be honest with you. But my kids love it already, and it is a deal out here, man. When you get here, you got to try it. You got to go down to Skyline Chili and do the whole experience.
Well, I have my own, and I don't know what the hell they call it, but it's something. It's got some chili in it as well. So I'll try anything, and I'll do that as well. So you have this now, where you're going to be in the conference about a year from now. You're already a part of it, but you'll be in the conference about a year from now. And then obviously there's some even focus on the revenue changes for you and others that are coming in, and when you have partial or full shares. What was the survey? I heard there was a survey that they showed to everybody about the future of the Big 12. Is it a lot more maybe brighter than maybe some people thought when it comes to revenue?
I think so. I mean, listen, I'm not an expert in the media space, right? That'll be really important, obviously, for our new commissioner to take on. And there are people and consultants that will come in and obviously work on that deal that will take place in 2025 for the Big 12 to get the new media rights deal. But I just believe in the conference. When you look at the teams that are in this conference and what we bring to the table, the fan bases that we bring, the amount of alumni. I mean, I think that one of the things that Cincinnati and UCF, you just had Terry on at UCF, we're two of the larger alumni bases in the conference now. We have 350,000 living alumni. We're 45,000 students at the University of Cincinnati. So we bring a lot to the table. We bring a passionate fan base. We bring eyeballs. We bring history in basketball, and we bring a lot of momentum in football. And it's the best basketball conference in the country. And that's not me just saying that. The stats play that out, right? So I just feel very strongly that we're going to be desirable. And it's going to be great parity in that conference, and I think we will have a great media deal in 2025.
And you got the historical football stadium in Nippert as well as you move forward. How much do you do between now and then to be ready on day one?
That's the campaign. You hit the name of our campaign, Day One Ready campaign. We're trying to raise $100 million, so we know that we've got to do some things and put some real emphasis on our facilities. We got an indoor football facility and performance center that we're going to build. Going to break ground here very soon. We've got some basketball upgrades and improvements as well. So we just know that there's some things that we've got to do to get to that level and be ready across the board. And I keep talking to our coaches. We don't want to limp into the Big 12. We want to go into the Big 12, compete right away, And I think that we can in every sport that we play.
Last question. We appreciate your time, Mr. Cunningham, is that you have this football coach in Luke Fickell who's been a rock star. What's it been like dealing with him and working with him? When I say dealing with him, that sounds negative, but working with him, watching his vision, watching his commitment to Cincinnati as well.
This is what I get asked about him all the time. And this is what I tell everybody. I say he's a really great person. And, oh, by the way, the hell of a football coach. And to have that combination, I've been in this business out 17 years, and that's a unique combination, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. He's just a family man, and that's what comes first. He makes all of his decisions based on his family, and he loves this city. He loves the state of Ohio, and he's just been the perfect fit for us, and he has a great culture here. And obviously, he continues to recruit really well and play at the very highest level. So we're excited to have him.
No question. You just described Dave Aranda, basically, with what Baylor has with the Baylor and their football coach, Dave Aranda, as well. I know you feel this, John. Thank you for being a part of the show. Everyone is thrilled. Everyone's excited about moving forward, how quickly the Big 12 got up off the mat, and having Cincinnati as a part of it. I think a lot of people are excited, and I know you are as well. So we appreciate you and hope to be able to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Can't wait to be down in Waco and see that new football stadium. I haven't been down there to see it yet, so looking forward to that.
You will love it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. John Cunningham, Cincinnati Director of Athletics. Terry Mohajir, UCF Director of Athletics, here in this opening hour. We also heard from David Murphy on the hiring of Mitch Thompson for Baylor as a coach. Coming up next, one of the former stars of Baylor back in the day, Jason Jennings. His thoughts about Mitch Thompson, and we're not done. Rice AD will be with us at just after 4. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by Let's Be Friends, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. They have that absolutely phenomenal new SUV that has been the talk of so many in the car business, the Wagoneer 2 and Wagoneer 3 Series. Right now, 2.9% for 72 months plus $4,000 in competitive bonus cash. Right, that's $4,000 competitive bonus cash. Incentive on the 2022 Wagoneer is for a limited time only at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. And first responders get an extra $500 in bonus cash. On top of that, there's the 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star in this month. June, special values up to $7,000 or get $4,000 bonus cash and 2.9% financing as well. So that's the Lone Star, the Quad Cab, and of course Ram Truck back to back. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the legendary Ram Trucks at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Tell Ted Teague and the great staff, one of the great sales guys in AJ, we said hi. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Many stars of Baylor baseball's history. One of them, and one of the brightest, Jason Jennings, former pitcher. I texted him earlier today. Paul and I were going over. Paul gave me some names that were under Steve Smith and Mitch Thompson. And we had David Murphy earlier, and now Jason Jennings. Jason, thanks for your time. We put up a quote of what you said when I text you. So how thrilled are you right now with what Baylor has done with Mitch Thompson?
I couldn't be more thrilled. I spoke to Mitch recently past week a couple times, and just kind of see where his head was, and was able to kind of get in on some conversations with some of the Baylor admin, and just express my love for Mitch and my desire for him to take the Baylor baseball program back where it once was and where it needs to be.
Jason, one thing that people may not realize about Mitch from when he was at Baylor, and you can probably know it now, is that he's the best JUCO recruiter in the country, and he was one of the best recruiters in the country when he was at Baylor. How big of a part did he play in your recruitment?
Huge. I mean, I had a few really good options out of high school, and it boiled down to Texas A&M and Baylor. And just when it came down to it, the feeling I had from Mitch and Smitty and Hoot on my recruiting trip, and the feeling they gave my family, I was a person. I was a part of their family, and honestly, I have been ever since. We stay in touch. We've over these years, he's come up and spoken to some of our parents of our teams up here in Frisco, and I love having him around. I love talking baseball with him, and I think like you said, with the JUCO world, I mean, Texas has the best JUCOs in the country, hands down, and arguably the best high school ball in the country. You throw Florida, California in there, but there's not a high school coach or a JUCO coach that Mitch is not going to know and can't connect with and can't find the players that we need. So it's I think that's kind of the biggest bright spot he brings is just his connections, and there's just really no one he can't reach out to and can't find the players that we need.
How much have you, if at all, sent back texts or calls or whatnot with other former Baylor baseball players as far as today's news goes?
Quite a few. We've always stayed connected throughout the years, and I've said before, that locker room when I was at Baylor was filled with really special guys, and we have stayed in touch over the years. But this last week and a half, ever since the search started, we've been in constant contact, just kind of picking each other's brains and seeing what we could do to campaign for Mitch and do what we can to get him his shot. And we feel like he's well deserved. And obviously he did a great job under Smitty. And the thing is, all the guys on that text, all the guys I keep in touch with, he was a part of bringing us to Waco. And I know the passion that Mitch has for Waco, for Baylor, for our Baylor baseball program. And I know it's authentic. I know it's genuine, and I know he's biting at the bit to get rolling and get it back to where it needs to be.
How quickly will you try? I know you have a lot on your plate, family and also your job, but how quickly will you try to get here when they start playing again?
I'll get down to every chance I have. My teams have gone to Waco a couple times to play during the summertime, and I've gotten to catch up. We played over at Baylor Ballpark, and I got to talk to Coach Rodriguez, and we played over at MCC a couple times. I got to talk to Coach Thompson, and so it's always fun to get back down to Waco, and my family enjoys it, and I will probably make more frequent trips now. I feel super connected to Mitch, and obviously for good reason. There's a huge group of support for him, our former players, some of my best friends. Just we all love him and the experience we all had under him and Smitty and Hoot. We're thrilled that he finally gets his shot, and really feel that he's the guy to re-energize the community, the city, and just get the Baylor baseball program back to where we think it should be, where we want it to be, and where it was when we were there.
Yeah, Jason, I think that from the day he left until now, there's been kind of just that like a slow leak in a tire of the program, because he was, for lack of a better term, he was kind of the heart and soul of what was going on over there, wasn't he?
He was, and I think there's lots of good coaches up there. Mitch is a great coach. Smitty, Hoot, Coach Rodriguez, they all know the game. But you're only as good as your players. You got to bring in the guys. You got to find the guys, and I think he had a knack for doing that. And it's not just guys that look good on a perfect game scout sheet or a showcase sheet. It's the guys that maybe the back roads of Texas that maybe he's not the biggest, the strongest. Maybe he didn't have a spin rate of 2,000, 3,000, whatever, but he can get 27 outs. And that's the guys we need. Those are the more blue collar, tough kids. And that's what we were filled with during that era, kind of late 90s, early 2000s. And, I know he has a knack for finding those kids, and we're completely confident he can do that again.
Yeah, Jason, there's no question about it. He knows where everything is and what the kind of player that Baylor needs. And heck, I'm not so sure last year MCC's team wasn't, well, a lot of ways, I'm not saying they would have beaten Baylor, but they were good. You know that. They made their trip to the semifinals as well. How much can former players help? How much can you? You're involved with youth sports and baseball, and there's others as well that played at Baylor. How much can they help?
I think we can help a ton. I mean, there's a good network of guys here in the DFW area. There's a great network of guys down in the Houston area, and those are the two hotbeds of Texas high school baseball. JUCOs are spread out all over the state, and there's not a JUCO coach Mitch isn't going to know, and probably has a great relationship with. So those JUCO coaches are going to, if they got a stud after 2 years at a JUCO, they're going to shoot him over to Mitch now, being at Baylor, and I think that's just an added advantage of having him at the helm, and I think we will do our part, whether it's us here in Dallas, down in Houston, San Antonio. We'll do our best to send him players or recommend players or campaign for Baylor University and the Baylor baseball program that we remember and we want to see again.
It's almost like the sun came up again, huh?
Yeah, kind of feels that way, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell by your reaction and those of others as well. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate your time, and I know you were thrilled when we talked earlier. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, anytime.
Jason Jennings, he was a stud at Baylor, played in baseball, Major League Baseball, and As he said, he has a facility in Frisco as well. And Mitch Thompson. So we've heard from David Murphy, Jason Jennings, 2 ADs in the future Big 12. And coming up, Rice University AD, we'll hear from him as well. Joe Colgard, he's next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
By Group Meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's Group Meal.
Next in line.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfect pizza. Bob Mock has owned Marco's Pizza franchises since 2013 and has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in the Waco area, in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Order at marcos.com to make any moment better. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
John F. Kennedy, of course, to lead off this hour with some comments he made about certain things you do. You strive to do this and that. Rice University and their Director of Athletics, Joe Colgard, joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. And we appreciate your time. What's it like right now in the middle of all of this transition, all of this realignment and expansion in college athletics?
It's crazy. I don't know. Even when I talk to people who've been in the industry for, 30 or 40 years, who've seen it all, I mean, they've never seen anything quite like this. So it's a little bit unsettling, but we're trying to navigate these choppy waters over the next couple of years and hope we reach some stability here in the near future.
With your move, with what's going on at Rice, where do you see the future of Rice athletics? Because, again, you guys are a very unique school. There's not I'm not trying to knock everybody else's academic street cred, but you guys are kind of second to none when it comes to that. Like, where do you see the future of Rice athletics going now with this move?
Well, we're really happy to be joining the American Athletic Conference in 2023. That announcement came out today. It gets us back to some of our former partners from Conference USA. It gets us back in a league with a school like SMU, who is a rival of ours in the Southwest Conference for 85 years. And so we're excited about the partnerships that we'll forge moving forward. I think the future is bright. We've carved out a niche here at Rice. We've had a lot of success in some of the Olympic sports. Our women's sports programs have had pretty good success at the Group of 5 level. It was just last year that we had 5 of our women's teams ranked in the top 26 in the country at one time. We've got to get our men's programs back up and running. Our football program's been steadily improving every year since we hired Mike Bloomgren, and we hope this is a breakout year for us. Our basketball program, we think, is on the cusp of something special. But as you guys know well, our signature for a long time has been baseball, and we've got to get that baseball program back into the postseason and start charting the path forward to Omaha.
Joe, where were you, or do you even remember where you were about a year ago this time when the Texas and Oklahoma news broke? And when you first heard that news, did you realize this is about to get crazy for a lot of folks, including myself?
Well, it was my 20th wedding anniversary last summer, and we took the family to Maui, and I was on a beach, and I told myself, we were there for almost 10 days, and I told myself that I was going to, put the phone on airplane mode so that I could bring it along so I could take pictures, but not check on things. And I slipped. And of course, the news came over the wire, and I saw it, and I thought, this is going to have a cascading effect that'll probably affect us at some point down the road. So, it was sort of welcome and unwelcome news at the same time. I was excited by it, but I also wish I hadn't gotten it in the middle of my 20th anniversary vacation.
So you didn't get off the grid. You thought you were going to get off the grid, and you did not get off the grid. And of all places, being in Hawaii, that beautiful, beautiful. Paul's going to be there in 3 or 4 weeks, in fact. Yeah. Joe, there was a time when the Texas-Oklahoma story popped in late July that there were thoughts the Big 12 was in trouble. There were thoughts and even reports that the American Conference was going to gobble up part of the Big 12, and who knew what was going to happen? Did you have any idea by then, at that time, or when did you know, okay, wait a minute, we're going to land in a better place ourselves? And Craig mentioned, did you think it would affect you? When did you know the American Conference situation was going to be good?
Well, I worked for Bob Bowlesby at Stanford, and so, I know how Bob thinks. I know how he operates. I knew that he would be aggressive and proactive in trying to find new members to replace Texas and Oklahoma. I thought that would likely come through some combination of the American, an independent like BYU, and perhaps some schools from the Mountain West. So we started thinking about, okay, what are the different scenarios that could unfold here? What are some opportunities that could exist for us in the Mountain West? What are some opportunities that could exist for us in the American? And as I started to have conversations with those commissioners and with ADs in those conferences, I became increasingly confident that we'd find a good landing spot when it was all settled. It really wasn't until maybe 2 weeks before the actual announcement in October that I knew the American was going to be the spot. But I would say, basically, when I got back to the mainland and started having those conversations, it was within a short period of time that I grew pretty confident that we'd be able to move into a league that was a better fit for us.
now you have to, schedule all new games and things are changing. How quickly do you think you guys will be able to announce those kind of things? And kind of just a sub question, did 2020 and having to juggle a schedule like everybody did make maybe this at least a little bit easier because maybe not to stress on it as much as you would have in the past?
Yeah, I think so. We'll probably have a little bit different scheduling philosophy moving forward. Football is, scheduling, non-conference scheduling in football is, I don't think ideal for anyone, whether you're, at the bottom of the group of five or the top of the Power Five. Scheduling as far out as we do doesn't make a lot of sense. You don't know what league you're going to be in. You don't know how many games you're going to be playing within that league. You don't know the quality of the opponent 10 years from now. And so, it just hasn't made a lot of sense for a lot of different schools. You're seeing announcements coming out about games in 2032, 2033. But I think our philosophy moving forward is going to be squarely within kind of the American Athletic Conference philosophy and scheduling non-conference football games. We're going to try and do some Power 5 home and homes. We'll continue to play the Bayou Bucket game against the University of Houston, alternating home and away every year. Now that they're joining the Big 12, that'll be one of our Power 5 opponents. We're also looking at academic schools that are like us, like Dukes and Northwesterns and Vanderbilts, to see if they're interested in playing, and perhaps some of the publics as well. And then, we'll play good group of 5 games and probably have an FCS game every year at home. And then in basketball, we're going to put together a budget to buy games for us at home, which we haven't done in the past. And our coaches are pretty excited about that.
Joe, the conference with what UTSA and you and, of course, North Texas all going together from where you were in Conference USA to the American Conference, and then SMU already being there, how important is it, and was it even a part of the conversation that there will be 4 schools from the state of Texas in your conference?
Well, I think it's really important. Everybody wants to focus on football and basketball. But, when I think about our volleyball team, our soccer team, when I think about our other sports, having a tighter geographic footprint makes a lot of sense for us. And Conference USA stretches from, in its current iteration, stretches from El Paso to Norfolk, Virginia. And it's just a big league. There's not a lot of opportunities for us to drive. I think back and hear from our alumni all the time about the old Southwest Conference and being able to drive to everything. We're going to have more of those opportunities moving forward, not just with the schools that you mentioned, but, also having Tulane as a presence. Tulsa's not that far away. Wichita's not that far away. So we're excited about a tighter geographic footprint in those sports. And we're excited about going in with UTSA and North Texas as well.
Joe, I'm going to pitch you an idea here. When you said, playing the other schools like Vanderbilt and Duke and you kind of the elite in Northwestern, whenever you play, whether it's basketball or football, but let's just say for football, Friday night, academic quiz bowl, Saturday, football game.
I like it. I like it. Try and get a sweep, but at least maybe we'll come away with a split.
Yeah. One of the things about your academics, and we hear even at times perhaps that is something that is not enough on the front radar. I'm sure that's something that will never not be on the front radar for Rice University, along with a few other schools as well. Are you concerned a little bit about that?
I think we have to live into our brand. We have to live into our values. We can't try to be something that we're not. We do have a niche. We do appeal to a certain type of prospective student athlete. What we're actually finding often in the transfer market and in grad transfers as well is that student athletes have maybe a subpar experience at another school, and they had considered a place like Rice coming out of high school and realized that that's what they want in their second or third go-around. And so we want to capitalize on those opportunities and not try to be something that we're not. And we think we can have success by just being the best version of ourselves.
Joe, thank you. Appreciate your time. Hey, thanks for being at Baylor in that Cals event that they had, the Cals One event as well. I thought that was incredibly well done. It was good to see you there as well.
Well, and I want to say, we've got great connections with Baylor. I've known Max since I got here, and he was the AD at UH. And Linda and Brad Livingstone, and Shelby was a student athlete here at Rice. She played volleyball, so I've known the Livingstone since she was a student athlete. You've got great people up there, and it was my pleasure to bring our staff up to participate in Cals. We had a great time.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you being in Waco last week and on the show today. Joe Carlgard, he's the Director of Athletics at Rice. They will be a part of the American Conference. UTSA also in North Texas. We've had UTSA. We've had all three of those ADs now on, including Thursday of last week, and now Rice as well. So SMU will be a part of the American. They already are. They'll remain there. And now 3 new schools going from Conference USA to the American Conference in about a year. All right, we hope you've enjoyed the first hour, 20 minutes or so with what we've had. I want to now stop for a second, take a deep breath on the chat room. If your thoughts about what you heard from Mr. Cunningham or Terry Mohajir or even the Mitch Thompson hire at Baylor, your thoughts on the chat room. And also the text line is open at 254-339-1122 with Craig Paul and David Smoak.
Well, our good friend Juan was very happy that the Bayou Bucket will continue with Rice and Houston.
Yeah, that should always be.
Well,
he also mentioned that with Houston now becoming a part of a Power 5, that's what they want to hook into a Power 5 game.
That's pretty convenient.
Yeah, that makes a hell of a bunch of sense as well. I didn't ask you about the band. That's a different interview. They're one of a kind. The Mob.
I do so enjoy what they're going to come up with.
They will be at USC to open the year, by the way. So their opening game, I think, is on the road against Lincoln Riley and company. There is a massive. It is an interesting little back and forth on the chat room after John Cunningham explained to us what chili he thinks chili is, which we've heard about Cincinnati chili. And then there's other chili. And then there's Texas chili.
Here's, I think, the problem in this is that Cincinnati is unified in what they think chili is, but in Texas there's a great debate over it. Like if you put beans in it, it makes it not chili, which I guess that's fine if you want to call it that, but you need to come up with another name for it.
Meat soup.
Yeah.
is what chili with no beans is. Is meat soup is what I feel like it is.
See, a lot of people...
I could just pour a can of Sloppy Joe mix or something. Or not Sloppy Joe, but you know what I'm saying? Like Hormel. I mean, the no beans, that's just meat soup, really. So I'm somebody who doesn't care either way.
Yeah, as long as it tastes
it's
good.
so trivial. Like I know it's just for fun to have that conversation, but I really do not care what you call your chili, whether it has beans or not. I don't care. But I like them both. I haven't had Skyline though. I've heard good things. I've heard bad things. Depends on who you ask, I suppose. It's not a unanimous. Yes, this is the best thing ever. But I know the people in Cincinnati will defend it. So I look forward to trying it and coming up with my own opinion.
We will do that. We owe it to that. And I don't think I've had it because I haven't been to Cincinnati since I did a high school football game back in 2005 when Cincinnati, who was it? Coleraine played what Craig's alma mater in Lee High School, which is now Legacy. By the way, from Dizzy by Nature. Chili is meat and spices. Everything else is optional. Get over it. Right before him, Texas boil. Beans definitely belong in chili. And there people will fight over this.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Like, I don't care what, like if me personally, I don't have I'm putting my stake in the ground. This is the brand of chili that I abide by. But there are plenty of people that will. And to them, I'm not even trying to dissuade you. Have that conversation. But for me, just put it in front of me. And if it's good, I'll eat it. And if it's not, I won't.
I think there's just a lot of people who go by the chili cook-off rules.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's fine. But again, I wouldn't like, you couldn't enter your chili smoky in a cook-off.
Okay, I have been in Craig, when he was at a radio station, it was 99.3 in Tyler. They were at a chili cook-off, and they had their entry, and yet I cooked mine on the side. I was disqualified, but won best of.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Smoky makes a chili-like dish. that, I mean, does not fall into the Terlingua
it's not,
rules.
It's not. It's got everything in it.
It's kind of a medley of meats and spices
like
and beans.
It's almost like a chili stew with many things in it, including beans and mushrooms. It's got tomatoes, which I think regular Texas chili have tomatoes ground up or not. Are they allowed to do that?
I think they're allowed to do that because you got to have some kind of base for it. But I can tell you, I've never met anybody who doesn't like it, and I've seen near riots on getting in line to get it in California. So,
Yeah, Juan, our Houston fan, my only preference with chili is I do prefer it to have some level of spice to it. Texas boil. It's chili with white rice and Fritos is like that. And then also ZS77. If chili doesn't clear my sinuses, it's not doing its job. It can never be too spicy.
That's why I can't even get deep in this, because I have no palate for spicy foods. Like, I'm like the weakest palate when it comes to that. So I miss out on a lot of these conversations when it comes to the spicy foods.
Yeah, you do. Ray Grange, our great friend, who's been a part of college athletics, by the way. Ray, thanks for the nice comments about the 80s we just had on. Appreciate you. All chili is good, just like all barbecue is good, or should be. When you go without anything for a while, you will appreciate it all.
Well, yeah, and I'm being in Texas for as long as I have. I mean, I have, what I like of Texas barbecue, but I'm not one of these people who goes to other states and goes like, North Carolina, you don't know what you're doing. No, it's different and it's fantastic. Alabama, it's great. Kansas City, I love, me, Smokey. I mean, part of the reason I like to go to Kansas City is I go to 6 barbecue places in 4 days. But I will say this, when I go to my home state of Florida, they are trying to do barbecue, and my friends, I was there, it was right after my father passed away, and 2 of my buddies from high school, I called them up, and I was in Fort Myers, and I said, hey, what, you want to go to dinner? And they said, yeah, we got this great barbecue place. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I doubt that. And I got there, and it was all bad. It was just terrible. And I was like, what are they making this with, palm tree wood? I mean, it's just terrible. But Florida doesn't have it yet. New York, when we were in New York for the Super Bowl, they were trying to do barbecue, and I'm like, listen, we're not going to mess with pizza. You guys, we'll just agree to disagree on what we can really do.
From common sense, I'm from Texas. You're damn right. I put chilies in my beans in my chili. There's a lot of different. It's great. It's great to have. Everyone has opinions. That's what's good. And so we even have that. Thanks to John Cunningham, Cincinnati AD, for being a part of the show. Terlingua, of course, the World Chili Cook-Off. They don't have beans. I know that. You're right. They don't. They don't allow it.
I will agree with ZS77. If a place is famous for the barbecue because of their sauce, they don't have famous barbecue. They have famous sauce.
There you go. All right. Here we go. BU Bear, by the way. No, you cannot put beans in chili. Well, you can if you want to, baby, just like you can't if you don't want to. We have fun with it. We appreciate the feedback. We're not done. 4:30 today, we're going to hear from Rob Bolton on the upcoming U.S. Open. We'll make our picks that I have not even looked at a list. I've been watching the Golf Channel, though, so we'll come back soon with Rob Bolton. Also today, Kendall Rogers, who popped the Mitch Thompson story, who was a part of the show yesterday and said, hey, once they get the hire, we'll come back. And he will be with us today at 5 o'clock. Plus, Ohio State has dipped into the TCU coaching staff. Kansas has dipped into the LSU coaching staff. All of that and more. Sikkim, 365 Radio and 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com, what a great place. It's a great place for a couple of reasons. If I can tell you can get the best service and the best possible evidence of something that hurt you, an MRI, a shoulder, a knee, a ligament, or a muscle, and then also cost you no more than $497, you will pay attention. I hope you do. Because $497 is the limit. That's the ceiling of what it will cost for an MRI at Ideal MRI in the Central Texas Marketplace on the southern part of Waco, just off I-35. They'll find out what hurts. I've had 2 or 3 MRIs. It's been 3 now. One on my left shoulder, one on my abdomen, and then also I had one about 2 or 3 weeks ago because I was kind of having a nerve issue in my hip, and it really was hurting me. And so I had an MRI, and it showed that my L3 was a little bit too narrow. And I had an injection. I had an epidural. And, man, I felt great ever since that time. And they also waited until I was off the show stayed open so I could get the MRI at Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace. It will help you know what is the deal. And if an MRI doesn't see it, doesn't find it, then, maybe it's something else, and they'll figure that out. They'll help you with insurance, $497 or less. Well, I tell you what, Dr. Rob Maxey and his staff are fantastic people to help you feel better at idealmri.com.
Jeep Freedom Days are going on now at Allen Samuels in Waco. The new 2022 impressive Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 have 2.9% for 72 months, plus $4,000 competitive bonus cash. That's right, and $4,000 bonus cash. This incentive on the new 2022 Wagoneers for a limited time only at Allen Samuels in Waco. First responders get $500 extra cash. Come shop the huge new car and truck inventory today at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingram with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Brad Boozer, Boozer Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did in a state yesterday and I looked at 35 pieces, well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her, and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
The U.S. Open will actually tee off first thing tomorrow morning at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. There has been a week, of course, of so much when it comes to LIV and those who have joined that tour and things that have been said. And you've heard from a lot of people. We saw the end of that tournament up in Canada What an ending with Roy McIlroy along with Tony Finau and also, of course, Justin Thomas. And it has been an interesting week, no doubt, but they're actually going to tee it up and play golf starting tomorrow morning. And Rob Bolton with us, a PGA Tour analyst, columnist, also fantasy when it comes to who he thinks are the right picks going into the tournament. Rob, thanks for your time. And we're not going to make picks because we're wasting our time. So let's get to Let's get to this. Has this been one of the most
bizarre,
drama-filled weeks on the PGA Tour before a shot's even hit you've seen?
It's up there, isn't it, guys? I'll use the word intriguing. I keep going back to that in the last 3 or 4 days. It's intriguing. You know, that kind of leaves an opportunity to be positive about it, I think. No matter where you come down on it personally, we're learning about the business side, aren't we? Mm-hmm. And it's, hey, any industry has a cutthroat element to it, and there's an ugly side to it. And that includes golf at the highest level. I think it's fair to say that for most intents and purposes over time, the PGA Tour has not been embroiled in something like this. Well, certainly not like this, but something that's required sort of the deft touch and the patience that is currently, on display right in front of us. So it's intriguing. I'll leave it there.
It's a course with
until,
a lot of.
I mean, look, the tournament's in Boston. The fans are going to be there. It's going to be must-see television, right?
Oh, I think so. And then Boston fans can be a little bit rowdy, not quite New York, but let me the history of the tournament or the club, obviously the course with the 99 Ryder Cup, the famous Ben Crenshaw. I have a pretty good feeling about this. The Justin Leonard putt from way back that went up a big slope and went in, and everyone went nuts. And really, the Ryder Cup was already explosive at the time. Is this a course it doesn't matter if you're a bomber or not? It seems like the U.S. Open recently, bombers have won.
Yeah, this is not that. The course is a little over 7,200 yards, par 72, par 5. Certainly, length off the tee will define many of the contenders and probably the winner, because that's what most guys are doing these days. But it's not necessarily a track that, I mean, unless the guy is absolutely striping it, he'll deserve to win. But this isn't Winged Foot where Bryson DeChambeau really overpowered the place. This isn't that at all. And you got to hand it to what he did that week, given how he transformed his body. That's, he's the unicorn in that discussion. But this week, strength from tee to green, it's kind of the quintessential way to win a U.S. Open, but it's not the penal. I mean, it's not the penal 4 over par is going to win type of week. Gil Hansen, Jim Wagner have done a marvelous job in the restoration. We saw their restoration skills on display at Southern Hills a month ago, and we had a fair and rightful winner and championship, and we saw how the course can be penal if you don't golf your ball, and we also saw how it can reward you and benefit you really when others go sideways, as long as you keep your ball in play. So one of the swing thoughts or play thoughts from my standpoint this week is kind of let the others make the mistakes. Keep the ball, play boring golf, and you're gonna have a chance come Sunday, guys.
All right, here's what we have, Rob. With you being the 12-time champion, whatever you might be, I've got a Baylor baseball helmet because they just named their new coach, the former assistant coach in Mitch Thompson. Paul, I'm just going to let you and Emery, you want to walk over here. Emery's going to jump involved. Rob, do you want me to pick for you? I'll just pick first, since you're the defending 19-time champion. Or do you want to take the last one available?
Hey, man, whatever you guys want to do, I'm in.
All right,
whatever.
You guys
go ahead.
Paul, you pick.
All right. So this is my pick
Craig,
right here.
you pick. All right. Emery, you pick. And then there's Paul, you pick for Rob.
Okay.
And whatever left is for me. I have no idea, and it doesn't matter because none of us, every player you take has to make the cut to get a chance, even if you have the first, second, and third golfers. I'm number 3. Craig?
Number 1.
Craig gets the top pick. Paul?
I'm number 5.
Oh, Rob Bolton's number?
And he is number 4.
All right, and so Emery, you're number 2. All right, it doesn't matter, but we'll try this anyway. So, here we go.
Love your confidence.
Craig Smoak with the number 1 overall pick.
Never had that before. I'm going to go Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler, who missed the cut at the PGA, but seemed like he's trying to get his game back together. Emery, number 2.
I'm gonna go with John Rahm.
John Rahm, the defending champion from Torrey Pines. I will take Rory McIlroy. Rob.
Picking 4th overall, and the number 1 in my power rankings is sitting there. So I think you guys are conspiring. I got to take him anyway. Justin Thomas.
Yeah, coming off a hell of a tournament, great finish in Canada. All right, Paul, you get 2 picks.
All right, I'll take Sam Burns and Xander Schauffele.
Has a great history, does he not, in his Open appearances, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, Schauffele, big stage performer, just needs that win to get everybody off his back, including the monkey. That's been the problem. Well, there's the top 6 right off the top there. So, again, I'm focusing on making the cut, and I'll pick the guy who was off my board at the PGA who made the cut and delivered for me on the weekend, Shane Lowry.
Very nice. He also is he not in the group with Oosthuizen and Phil?
Ooh, good question. I don't know.
I think he might be in that group with. And if anyone can handle that, I think it might be him. He's a pretty tough dude. Okay, I'm the next pick. I will take. I'm going to take Zalatoris.
And I looked it up real quick. Yes, you're right. Mickelson, Oosthuizen, and Lowry.
Yeah. I'll take Zalatoris. And number 2 pick, Emery, back to you.
I'm going to go with Rory.
I got him. I already got Rory, yeah.
Then I'll go Hideki.
Hideki Matsuyama. And Craig, you get back-to-back picks.
I'll go Jordan Spieth and Cameron Smith.
Cameron Smith, that's a good one. I'm not saying that Jordan's not. Back to Emery. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa.
Has he played well, Rob? He seems like, I love the way he plays it. Has he been a little bit off this year?
Yeah, so last time we spoke, we were waiting for Tony Finau to light fire, and it was his putter that was giving him a hard time. I joked this week in my writing that it's like the two of them traded the ability to put the ball into the hole. Because Morikawa's really been struggling on the green. So Finau's been filling it up, and Morikawa hasn't. But this week, because ball striking is so important, and because the greens are small, that benefits average to bad putters, and because the greens are unfamiliar, that multiplies the advantage for the guys that strike from tee to green. So Morikawa should have a good week.
I hit the next pick, and I will take Brooks Koepka. Back to you, Rob.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know, Craig. You always fall in with these guys. I really feel like I need to stop analyzing your team. I don't know how you do it. I mean, those guys could have been 1, 2, 3 in my power rankings. No one would have.
Which means I'll miss the cut.
No one would have argued. I'm like your least favorite friend because I keep talking high about you. And then, yeah. Anyway, I digress. Let's go with. He has not performed well in the majors, but I'm going to take. It doesn't feel like a risk, but just analytically, based on his record in the majors, it is. So let's take a quote-unquote risk with Patrick Cantlay.
All right, Patrick Cantlay, okay. Paul Catalina, you got back-to-back your 3rd and 4th picks.
Okay, I will take Tony Finau.
All right.
And I will take, since you took Brooks Koepka, I will take Daniel Berger, go Knowles.
Oh, so you still get a Knoll.
Yes.
All right. Back to you quickly, Rob. Not quickly, but you're back to you.
Sunjay M going off the board. Let's have some fun.
All right.
Not that I'm already having fun.
Then to me, I will take Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
And now Emery.
I think I'm gonna go with Abraham Answer.
Abraham Answer, and Craig's the last pick.
All right, I'm trying to
start with letter S, Craig.
I'm trying to figure out who's still available. There's a lot of picks that have been made so far. Let's see here. Let's see. DJ's been picked, right?
No. Boy, that'll be. Craig's going to live with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Max Homa's been picked?
No, he has not. He won a couple 2 or 3 weeks ago. All right, Max Homa. All right, Rob, fire away. Truth serum time.
Yeah, so, I have the best team, full stop. Isn't that the way?
That's how it's been.
It's been going.
You probably do, yes.
Yeah. No. So I was thinking about this because I do much better job drafting than I do analyzing who has the best draft. And it reminded me, somebody who asked me back in the February or something like, hey, when was the last time all 15 or 20 of my power rankings actually made a cut? So I did a little digging. I actually went back to try to find the last time that happened. I couldn't. Went like 3 years back. I'm like, that's enough. I've gone, like, it doesn't happen. Sure enough, at the API, all 15 made the cut. It just never happens. And so we have a draft like this, and there's going to be at least one of these guys we know. What with the Masters last year, none of us, had all 4 guys make it. So it happens. So we got to do our best. But the course is going to win. None of us drafted the country club. Silly us. That's what we should have done, because the course is going to win. It's going to be a beautiful week. The weather's going to be okay. Wind's going to blow a little bit, but that's fine too. And the USGA should do a nice job at the whole locations. And again, I'm looking at the guys who have the experience, they have the patience, they know how to get the ball around the course. I like guys who are coming in with a little bit of form. And so if we drill down a little bit deeper into each of these guys, we're all loaded with those guys. So obviously, may the best guy win.
All right, Rob, of the guys who weren't picked, Horschel, Neiman, Leishman, DJ, Hatton, Webb Simpson, who hits it straight, even, DeChambeau, we know that he's had to kind of come back from the injury. Schwartzel, who just won. Phil, any of them in particular, you surprised that none of them were picked?
No, Emery, you're kind of the wild card, man. You're the new guy here, so I wasn't sure which direction you were going to go in. So you went, answer there at the end. That's a nice personal preference pick. I always appreciate and respect that sort of angle. I think Neiman would have been the surprise because he won at Riviera on a tough ball, a tough ball striker's track, and against one of the biggest fields you'll find anywhere. So that he went undrafted is surprising. And then maybe Tommy Fleetwood, just because he's been so solid of late. Was not in my power ranking, so maybe, out of sight, out of mind in a sense there. I looked at him, but maybe if we went another round, he would have been chosen. But and Billy Horschel, probably the third guy, just because he's coming off the win at the Memorial and loves tough golf courses and tends to play really well in bunches.
Rob, I'm trying to compare the sports moment to when we actually end this streak of yours to something that's actually happened. Would it be like the first team to beat the UConn women's team after they won like 1,000 games in a row?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
It's because it's been a long time since one of us has been able to hoist this fictional trophy that we have.
Yeah, it's so funny. Everybody with whom I work knows it's never about me. I just want to have a good time, and I want to be, part of the crowd and just, and then have some fun with the trash talking. But yeah, what can I say? It's a little embarrassing to have this sort of ridiculous run. No one ever has it. No matter what you do, no matter what pursuit, I should just move to Vegas and start betting these guys. I think that's is the point. But your format is such that, it forces you to think a little bit, just for a little bit longer. You guys have been doing it forever. You know what it's like. It just takes that one guy where you can have the winner of the PGA and 1, 2, 3 missed cut, and it's like it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So it's not or it is indiscriminate, or it's penal, and that's one of the reasons I love it. You got every one of these guys matters. Number 4 matters just as number 1, as much as number 1, and it's a team game, and I love that part of the format. That's one of the reasons why I love you guys.
Hey man, thank you very much. As always, appreciate it, and make sure you do put everything up on Twitter when you're whipping us after the first round.
That's a promise.
Yeah, I know that. Rob Bolton again, PGA Tour. He's great analyst. He has his the picks and the guys on the PGAtour.com. He also the does fantasy golf and a columnist on golf itself. Will be so interesting what the pucker factor will be for the PGA Tour if, in fact, somebody that's a part of the LIV Tour or the LIV Series is leading that tournament on Sunday at some point, and that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely happen. But, you know, I do think about that, but I also think of why does it have to be one or the other?
No, that's a very good point.
Like, if you're a golf fan, I feel like, you know, the XFL or the USFL comes around and the NFL is like, you can't like that. You have to like one thing or the other. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there just very confused by all the teeth gnashing. They're like, I just like golf and I just want to watch whatever golf's on. You know, like when I was big into wrestling, I didn't care if it was WWE or bust. It was like, hey, throw ECW up there. Like, it's entertaining. I like it. So I'm sure that's probably like the minority that we don't ever hear about is the golf fan that just likes golf and doesn't care if it's the Saudi money or it's the PGA money or what.
I think we'll get to that point. I think we'll get there at some point. If this was another tournament, of course, then those guys wouldn't be in it. But since it is the U.S. Open.
It'll be weird.
And it's only a week into the LIV series. It does kind of like it's like two planets colliding.
But it's also like, you know, with the SEC or the Big Ten continue to be bigger and bigger, it's like, you know, that means that everybody else is going to die off. Well, not necessarily. It's just going to be different. Yeah, like, you know, it doesn't have to be this or it's nothing. It can be something just new that, you know, isn't one thing or the other.
Yeah, and part of that with things, I mean, the way our country's going, I mean, we're going to have 4 companies that run everything and essentially do right now. So I think people also like the SEC conferences, golf leagues, they're trying to follow suit and be the biggest thing that they can possibly be in spite of whether that's good for anything.
Right.
You know, like, let's be as big as we can be. And then, you know, what do you lose in that? You know, like what's lost just in the pursuit of largesse? You know, like to me, there's different things, you know, and it would, that's why, you know, I think pro sports will, is kind of a nice thing right now because, well, they might expand, you know, it's not like all of a sudden the AL East can just tell the AL West, like, no, we're going to do things this way. And the AL East,
SEC's doing that, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah, we're going to have our own World Series in the AL East because we have better teams than you do this year.
By the way, this is from the 321. We appreciate everyone who chats, is in the chat room, and tons of you are. And then, of course, the text line, 254-339-1122. If LIV wasn't government-backed, I think it would be accepted differently, at least among fans, and maybe covered differently by the media. Yeah. Brooks Koepka finally yesterday said, would you stop? You're putting a cloud, and we knew the early with Mickelson and others, but Brooks Koepka finally said, can we just focus on golf? But that's just not the way things work anymore.
No, that's not the way things work, and no, you don't get to just make a big decision like that and not have to answer it at all either.
It was because it's the first time we've heard from him.
Brooks, it would be great if you could just make this decision and nobody gets to ask you about it.
Well,
but it's like,
he's
dude.
Staying, you know, he's staying, so.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, whoever's involved in this, one thing or the other, they're going to be talking about this because you either did or you didn't. And especially for those that did, like, I don't want to hear Fimmick, like, I don't want to talk. No, you're going to have to talk about it, brother. Like, it's a major decision. But, yeah, I think that the fact that it's the Saudi government and it's this phrase that we're now hearing every couple weeks there's a new for sports washing or whatever, like, I see those points. But, you know, I also see a lot of double talking going on from some of those same people that, you know, don't look in the mirror very much when talking about what government's doing, whatnot, and all that. So, like I said the other day, it's just a weird deal because I understand the point, but I also see the hypocrisy. And I think for golf fans, you don't have to have a gun to your head of like, you're a LIV fan or you're a PGA fan. Just enjoy golf if you want to, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you this. Everybody who picked, all of us picked 16, right, to 20 players. Not one of them is on the LIV Series tour.
Well, you know, the only one, like DJ, you know, to me makes a lot of sense. DeChambeau's not been playing well, particularly lately. I mean, he to me, I thought was, I think part of the reason he's going to LIV is because he might win some more. But, and he
Patrick Reed is a grinder. Sergio, you never know with him.
But he's kind of, Sergio's.
Keimer, Graham McDowell. Yeah.
There's nobody that's on the LIV that really scares you when it comes to majors as much anymore. And look, I can tell you one thing. I know one person who's not going to win this tournament. It's Phil Mickelson because he is in his head right now. He is not, he's not quite.
He thought he was going to just go get a big payday and just live life, and nothing was going to change. I guess I don't know what he was thinking, because he is totally he's totally missed the mark, I think, on how he thought this was going to play out.
And part of it is, you heard Tim Brando talk about it yesterday, that everything kind of went Phil's way, and he kind of had everything in control. But sometimes there's a bridge too far, and like if he had just said, "Look, I understand that the Saudi money is kind of scary." And there's some things we have to address there. But this is life-changing money for a lot of people, even me who's already wealthy. I'm making a financial decision, and, there's some things the PGA needs to do better. Nobody would have changed their mind about Phil. But when he said it the way he said it and was like, yeah, they killed...
They're cutting people's heads off, but whatever.
Some people make mistakes,
Yeah, what?
That's a mistake is like, I ran a red light and I rear-ended somebody in a minor traffic accident. A mistake is not intentionally murdering a journalist for doing their job.
You're right. It's 4:49. We do appreciate you. We appreciate the nice comments on the show today and every day. And if you could like us, we appreciate that as well. And we're not even done. We have over an hour to go. Paul's top 5 in about an hour. We'll hear from Kendall Rogers. Looking forward to him. He's landed in Omaha, Nebraska for the College Baseball World Series. Kendall joined us yesterday. He'll join us again today. His thoughts and kind of some background on others. In fact, one coach today hired by a Big Ten team was someone that was at least possibly in the running with Baylor, and his thoughts about Mitch Thompson. John Machota today at 5:30, and as I mentioned, Paul's top 5. Kansas hired Dan Fitzgerald, who's a part of the LSU staff. Ohio State hired somebody on the TCU staff, and Baylor hired Mitch Thompson, and that's just part of it. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Dr. Kent Petty and Dixie Petty own pettycliniclowt.com. It's just in southern parts, in Woodway, just off of 84. And what they can do is help you become the high-performance man that you might have been, and you're just not quite the same. Because 1 out of every 3 men has symptomatic issues of low testosterone. And what does that mean? It could be your sex drive. You see, how often now when you watch TV do you not see some sort of, hey, contact this particular company if you have ED? Part of that could be your testosterone levels too low. It could just be your sex drive is down. And it's just not the same. Part of Father Time. 1 out of every 3 men have symptomatic issues. It also could be energy, it could be your sleep habits, could be even body fat. So Dr. Petty will set you up with lab work. You have to contact him. Tell him I sent you. pettycliniclowt.com, top left-hand corner, email and phone number, and say, hey, Smokey said you could help me. What can you do? They'll set you up with an appointment. They'll get your blood work, look at the lab results. And Dr. Petty, if in fact your lab results are too low, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels, help you become the high-performance man you once were and you want to be and need to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
Payments for qualified buyers are 2.9% for 72 with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTLX or see dealer for details. Step up your ride at Richard Carr's Summer Savings Event. Find summer savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra SLT, only $432 a month, or a 2017 Buick Encore for $183 a month, or GMC Acadia for only $280 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection. We pay top dollar for your trade, and 100% approval is always our goal. Find your next car or truck today at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
All right. Top of the hour, Kendall Rogers from Omaha, Nebraska. Former Baylor safety J.T. Woods is making a name for himself already. It's OTAs, we understand that. But he first of all signed, third-round selection of the Chargers, a 4-year, $5.25 million deal, got a 1.01 signing bonus. And then here's this tweet that was put up in the practice, his third pick during OTAs. He's a ball magnet.
Yeah, and he's going to be playing back there next to Derwin James, who he cracked the starting lineup. So
who's the one that tweeted that? Yeah. That was from Derwin James, the former Florida State great.
Yeah, so that's going to be that's going to be interesting. And I thought JT would be a find for somebody, because again he has a ton of interceptions. He catches the ball. That's in today's NFL. The days of the steel curtain and the purple people eaters and the doomsday defense that allow 107 total yards of offense are, unless the weather helps them out, are kind of gone, because the rules are not in their favor anymore. So you need guys, and the Cowboys are finally figuring this out, that you need guys that can create turnovers, because trying to just stymie people on defense isn't really the same anymore. They're going to get yards. You got to, it's all about the red zone right now. That's what it is, because they're going to move the ball between the 20s. It's what you do. Sacks and interceptions are the most important things.
A 3 to 4 to 7 point difference, a field goal, no points, or a touchdown.
Yeah, good for JT. He's a ball hawk, I think is the word that, sums it up best. Great size, great length, great speed. He has all the intangibles, great intelligence as well, very smart guy. So I think the Chargers got themselves a real valuable player for the next few years, especially with the veteran tutelage that he'll have around him. And I'm not surprised at all to hear that he's, collecting interceptions, because that's what he did with frequency. And just glad that he signed. I mean, for a guy who wasn't a first-round pick, it's taken all the way up till yesterday for him to sign his contract. Tyquan Thornton remains unsigned. So I don't know what the holdup is there. But, yeah, they're just waiting on Tyquan Thornton now, and that whole record-breaking class will have been officially inked. But glad that he's got it official, and nothing more hurdle-wise standing between him and, his first NFL training camp.
A couple of notes here from Mike Games on our chat room. Smokey, Just got big news. My wife has just been hired as a travel nurse. Her first assignment is in Waco. Mike, of course, thanks for letting us know. Good luck to her.
Yeah,
and
cool.
if you need any ideas about where she should stay or where she should go and have dinner or lunch or whatever, anything about Waco, let us know. We'll try to help you out.
She won't need long sleeves unless she's trying to cover up from the sun. But outside of that, it is very warm, and just know that and be prepared for that.
Yeah. One of those shirts that you wear like when you're working the lawn.
Yeah, like the lawn guys wear long sleeves to not get completely sunburned and skin cancer. But yeah, if you haven't been to Waco, if you haven't been to Texas, especially this part of Texas, y'all all know about the heat. It's not even the heat though; it's the humidity. It's the humidity. It's just ridiculous, and that's what everybody has to adjust to. So just keep that in mind.
Here's a video of former Baylor star and record-breaking single-season rushing yards, record-breaking running back Abram Smith with the Saints, doing some rookie duty with the. What are those slushies? Snowballs?
Yeah.
It's a video of him walking over to veterans doing what rookies are told to do. I'm surprised in this day and age that's not some sort of bullying.
Well, there was because there's a lot of people that were commenting on the fact that was a really weak-looking, series of snowballs, and that there was not nearly enough juice and all that stuff, and that's what it turned into. And he said on Twitter, he followed up in this whole thing, was like, yeah, no, it didn't look right on the camera, but they were good to go or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of snowball commenting on that, but yeah, that's better than having to pick up like the pads of 10 offensive linemen like I'm sure he'll have to do at some other point.
Well, it's better than what the Cowboys offensive linemen used to do to the rookies and give them
shave their head.
But I mean, it wasn't shave their heads. It was they gave them haircuts.
It was like,
and then they had to have
Who was it? Des Bryant that refused to carry somebody's helmet.
It was Antonio.
Antonio Bryant.
Yeah.
All right, a couple other notes in Baylor football. Last night they received a commitment from Corey Kelly, linebacker from Clear Falls High School, but also the news that Lake Belton stud safety Javion Wilcox has decommitted to open up his recruitment. He is a part of, but Micah Hudson's a part of Lake Belton, a young man that's a star as well. And so that was an addition. And then the Javion Wilcox subtraction.
Yeah, I'm going to focus more of my time when it comes to recruiting and stuff on the positives rather than the negatives, because there's always going to be decommitments. I don't know what Javion Wilcox's reasoning is, if he just wants to open it up and didn't feel whatever he needed to be feeling. I saw the Tech coaches quickly retweeting his decommitment, so you can see that there's some connection there, and I know there's other schools involved as well. So yeah, good luck to him. I mean, I'd be curious to know what it is exactly that caused him to decommit, because as a defensive back, I just don't know who you would rather play for, especially with it being 30 minutes down the road. I don't know. So I'll be curious to see, wherever he ends up and why he ends up there. But I don't know. That just seems to make a lot of sense to me. So good luck to him. But Corey Kelly, I mean, I just explained it. You're a defensive player. You're a linebacker. You play for Ron Roberts and Dave Aranda. Yeah, come on board and play some defense. So that's a good pickup.
All right. By the way, we got a break. We'll come back with Kendall Rogers. Mike Games, he and his wife will be down in Waco. She's going to be a travel nurse. That's a 1,400-mile trip.
Jeez.
That's kind of like going from here to Tampa. In a way, I think that's about 1,600 miles or so. When we come back, we'll hear from Kendall Rogers at the College Baseball World Series the week of. His thoughts about Mitch Thompson and Baylor and more at Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on right now at Richard Carr. I mentioned this a couple times. Got my car over at their repair shop right now because had a little just incident with some debris flying up, knocked a panel loose by my windshield, and I'm having to get that fixed up. And so I contacted Donnie over at Richard Carr just a little while ago to follow up and let me know just exactly where we are in the process as far as getting all of that fixed up. And he let me know that they're trying to get it done by the end of the day, but if not, they will definitely have it ready by tomorrow. So I do appreciate them getting right back to me, and I know that when I get it back tomorrow, it's going to be good to go, and I hopefully won't have to worry about going to any repair shops for quite some time. But if you are in the market for a car, well, just know that when you buy a car from Richard Carr, you're going to have great people like Donnie and their great customer service that'll keep any dings or things that you have to get corrected far more stress-free than dealing with some other folks out there in the automotive industry. They're good people that you can count on. So right now, check out their new cars and trucks that are arriving weekly. You can call the dealership or go online to see the inventory, and you can go online and see all of their options and build your perfect vehicle. Get in contact with them. Go over there and get that all squared away. You can also get your name if you're looking to buy used or pre-owned. You can get your name on their inbound vehicle list to reserve a brand new Buick, GMC, or Cadillac before anyone else. So looking to buy new, check out the website or get in touch with them, tell them what you're looking for, and they will get you on that inbound vehicle list. If you're looking to buy used or pre-owned, they've got a lot of variety of vehicles available right now, cars, trucks, and SUVs. So if you need a car today, consider those quality pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them have gone through a 172-point inspection, so you can drive them with peace of mind, and they will pay top dollar on your trade with dozens of lending options, and they will say yes to loans when others say no. But if you're looking to buy new, again, get in touch with them as quickly as possible so you can get your car, truck, or SUV as quickly as possible by getting that inbound vehicle list. They've been serving Waco and Central Texas for over 23 years, offering award-winning service from their collision and service center. They are the dealer you can count on for a great deal and superior service for the life of your car. So trust the people that you can count on off of Highway 6 in the Imperial Exit, in business for over 23 years in Central Texas. Log on to richardcarr.com today.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show, whether necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They go to the eye. Play action. Bohannon back in the end zone. And a touchdown for Baylor. Drake Dabney's second catch of the drive, and it's good for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson, investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Kendall Rogers is in Omaha, Nebraska, outside of the College Baseball World Series, and he wrapped up his segment yesterday with us, giving us some insight of the Baylor coaching search, that he would come back on if Baylor and when Baylor made a hire. And he actually had kind of said to us it would be with 24 to 48 hours. Well, he was right, because earlier today he had the story about 9 o'clock Central, if not earlier, about Mitch Thompson. Kendall, thanks for your time, especially at my hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, in the College Baseball World Series. So you thought Mitch had an inside track. People were wondering if maybe that was almost too popular of a hire, and would that not be the case? What was in the end your thoughts about Mitch getting the job?
Well, I mean, I think two things are certain here. I mean, obviously, from talking to various sources at the last couple of weeks, clearly Baylor aimed very high, and there's some guys that decided to stay put at their current situations for whatever reason. I kind of told somebody this a minute ago. But, when guys stay places, it's not an indictment on the program that's trying to hire them. Sometimes it's just not the right fit. Sometimes it's not the right time for somebody's family. So every situation is a little different. With that said, Baylor landed on Mitch Thompson. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to prove to be a really, really solid hire for the Bears. I think when you look at Mitch, he's a guy that, what Baylor needs right now, they need someone who is all in, who literally just bleeds green and gold. And if you look back at Mitch when he was an assistant, he's always been a big Baylor guy. He's a guy that has literally dreamt about this job since the first day he was at Baylor as an assistant coach. And I just think he's one of those guys that, because every coach, right, has a deficiency. Where there might be a deficiency, he's a guy that will make up for it with just insanely good work ethic. And I think we'll put together a really good staff too. So at the end of the day, I get, if you're a Baylor fan and, you're looking at some of these high profile hires some schools make, you're kind of like, well, I wish we would have made that kind of hire. I think Mitch is one of those guys that is going to make the locals proud. I think he's going to get people in the stands, and I'm kind of excited to see what he can do there.
He is. He was a great recruiter when he was here. He's proven to have a corner on the JUCO market there as well. How much do you think he will hit that transfer portal and then those JUCOs here to build his first year team at Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, I think the transfer portal is the most important thing. I mean, you can make your biggest splash right now with the portal. I mean, you just look at some of the teams that are in Omaha right now. You look at Auburn, getting Sonny DeShera in the portal. You look at A&M, and all their best players are in the portal. So, I'm not saying Baylor can get to Omaha next year, but there is a pathway to where they can hit the portal hard, get some guys, and all of a sudden they can make a move and become a regional contender in year one. The other thing here is, as you mentioned, the JUCO market. There will be nobody in college baseball next year that will know the JUCO circuit as well as Mitch Thompson, and I certainly expect for him to kind of plug especially some of those early holes with junior college guys as well. So for what they need right now, which is someone who can immediately plug some holes, I think he's a guy that's perfect for that job.
I saw him this morning. I told you that, and then I saw his staff on the Zoom, and they were, of course, they understood. I don't know how many, if any of them,
will be joining him at Baylor. Your thoughts about him putting together a staff? I've heard names of those who have been a part of Baylor before, plus the guys who he has coached with most recently. Have you heard anything to that point yet?
It's funny. I'm not really dove into the staff stuff, and really the only reason I have not done that is because we've had 6 head coaching hires in college baseball today, so it's been slightly hectic. But, that's something we'll kind of know over the next few days. I think if you're Mitch, I think it's important to, get one guy who's certainly immersed in Baylor baseball, knows Baylor baseball, knows what to expect. I think it's important to get another guy who is just going to go out and recruit lights out. Obviously, you want a big time pitching coach, and so there are going to be a lot of options out there. One name that kind of comes to mind to me, and honestly, I have no idea if he's in the mix. But like Zach Dillon, he's a guy that's been involved with the 12 baseball program. It's one of the top travel ball programs in Texas. So if you're looking to make a splash recruiting wise, like a guy like that would make sense. But I would expect Mitch, with his connections here in the state of Texas, to really leave no stone unturned when it comes to his coaching staff.
It's interesting. I'll share this. I don't know, because maybe we had the story as well after you did, and we've been able to get quotes from everybody. We had Jason Jennings and David Murphy. Zach Dillon followed me on Twitter about maybe an hour or so ago. So maybe just
there you go.
Just kind of checking in on what Baylor's doing.
Kendall.
Well, that's the other thing too. I was going to say real quick is you mentioned Murphy and you mentioned Jason Jennings. I saw Kip Wells made a comment.
Yep.
The fact that all these guys like that are all in on this deal, that's a really, really good development for Baylor. So I think it's important I see a baseball program in an athletic department a lot like a corporation, a lot like a business, and you kind of want everybody on the same page. And it seems like with the Mitch hire, everybody's on the same page.
Mm-hmm. So just nationally, Kendall, now that Baylor's filled, Kansas is filled, Clemson's filled, and you kind of said, FSU knows what they're going to do. So is USC the next big hire that has to happen?
Yeah, so we're looking at USC and Washington. It's kind of crazy. In one day, we're pretty much left with 2 high-profile hires. So, USC is going to be really interesting. They're going after – they tried to make a run at Eric Backes at the last second, but Backes decided to stick with Clemson. They're looking at Troy Tulowitzki, the talented hitting coach of Texas, who's done a phenomenal job. They're looking at Andrew Checkett at UC Santa Barbara. And then Washington, is taking a hard look at Jason Kelly, the pitching coach at LSU. So, yeah, those 2 Pac-12 schools, that's pretty much it in terms of high-profile head coaching coaches.
Kendall, within the Big 12, what did you think of Kansas hiring Dan Fitzgerald?
I think that's a really cool hire for them. I think when you look at Fitzgerald and Dan Hefner, I think we talked about this yesterday, but, Dan Hefner would be the first guy who would sing Dan Fitzgerald's praises. And I think Fitzgerald was a major part of that process at DBU in his 9 seasons there. I like the fact that he was a junior college head coach at Des Moines Community College. He's been at LSU for a year. He knows how a big-time program operates. And so he goes to Kansas and, is kind of a grinder type. And I think when you look at that and you look at the fact that Kansas, my understanding here in the next week or so, they're going to announce a significant renovation of the ballpark, as in a $15 to $20 million renovation. I think that's a great kind of relationship there with those 2 entities. So I think that's a really cool hire. That's about as good as they can hope for in Kansas.
Kendall, you already gave us your rundown in the College World Series. I know you were in Omaha. You flew in earlier today. Now that you're there, it just kind of gets you a little goosebumps as they get closer?
It does. I hope the coaching carousel kind of slows down.
Yeah.
I haven't really had time to come up for air, but no, it is great to be here. You just driving in and seeing the different banners, and I'll tell you what, I continue to look at this field and think, man, I really could see anybody out of these 8 teams win the national championship. So it should be a lot of fun, and who knows, maybe we'll see the Bears here in a few years.
You never know. Kendall, thanks for your time. Appreciate the insight.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Kendall Rogers is popping those coaching carousel stories, including, of course, Mitch Thompson earlier today. Garrett, do you have the Max Garner, the quote, the graphic that he put up? He sent this to me earlier today. I just think Mitch's track record since he was at Baylor shows how hard he works on the recruiting trails. We've heard that over and over again. And their postseason success gives us a glimpse at how as to how his Baylor teams will look aggressive, fast on offense, very
solid fundamentally on defense. Loves Baylor, knows how to recruit big-time classes to Baylor. If he can get some help modernizing the stadium, Baylor will be a top 20 program consistently. Yet again, that's from Max Garner on Twitter, who's a passionate Baylor Bear fan because he played here, pitched here at one point as well.
You know who his best friend from growing up is? Here's a weird, went to Lake Travis High School?
No.
Baker Mayfield.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And look, I've spent a lot of time with Max. I would enjoy watching Max and Baker in the same room. I'd be like, it's a fly on the wall. The smart assery that would come out of those two people.
Any beers had?
Oh, yeah.
He and I got into it back in the 2020 season. He's very passionate. Boy, who didn't when it comes to football during the 2020 season? Yeah. But Max Garner on the hiring of Mitch Thompson, where he played at Baylor. Max did at one point when Mitch was on staff as well.
Was that when we people did their job as media and actually reported something, but people wanted them to not do that? Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Have that work out too.
That's what we do.
Worked out okay.
It did.
Worked out with a Big 12 title, so it was all good in the end.
Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. Let's see here. Here's one I want you guys to get a comment on this. Garrett, do we have the George Washington? That tweet. This is random as hell. So I saw this earlier today. I don't even know why this was on my feed. I really don't. Maybe it's because it's college athletics. But this is George Washington University. Paul, what's their mascot?
Well, it's no longer the Colonials.
I think for one more year it will be. The George Washington University has voted to get rid of the Colonial mascot after years of concerns from leftists about the inclusivity of the mascot. I think before it's all said and done, we might not have mascots.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you'll have something, but it is. So this is kind of an interesting one because colonial and colonizer has been kind of overlapped, which it can. Now, the George Washington University Colonials they say that because they're supposed to be the colonials from the War for Independence, the Revolutionary War era, but clearly they're not doing a good enough job of teaching American history at George Washington so that people understand the difference between them. Now, look, the people who colonized this country, especially, were slave traders and all these different things. So I get like the whole push to eliminate anything that would celebrate the slave trade in any way because, that's kind of obvious. But they also are, when you keep pushing back and pushing back, George Washington himself was a slave owner, so like you have all these things eventually, I don't know. Is this really the fight you want to have? It's like of all the things that you are fighting against, and there's so many things that need to be improved in this country, and rightfully so, but are they only fighting against the mascot names because those are the things that they can win? Because it's going to be really hard to change the police culture in the country because of what we've seen the aftermath of George Floyd in the years before. It's going to be really hard to change a lot of the things that created racial inequality because they're buried deep into the bones of our society and the systems at which that they were done, and people ignorantly didn't know about a lot of them, just kind of kept going down the road until you find out. But do you pick that, like, I don't want the fight song to be this, or I don't want this, even though it's not anything directly racial, because that's what you can win? Is that why they do it? Because you can win that one?
Well, let me ask you this. Does it really help?
Yeah, exactly. Because changing the name change anything? Not really. Yeah. So that's why I think that it's just something that people feel that they can win.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I just thought I saw that pop up on my timeline, and so I wanted to share that as well. Garrett Ross, Jack McKenzie, and also Emery Winter, who was a part of our golf deal. And he didn't show any nerves either. He went strong. Jack McKenzie, during the commercial breaks, was shooting buckets. He was shooting a basketball at net's rim. And our good friend Gunny called him out, Paul and Craig, because Jack seemed to be bricking a few of them. In fact, a lot of them. And then when I put it out there, Jack, you got even a little bit more wobbly. And Gunny wants to know, in the next break, can you even hit 50% of your shots?
I did last break before
But now it's pressure.
Look, you take 10 shots. 10 shots.
I'll put money down on I won't.
You won't take 10 shots, or you won't?
I'll give you $2 for every shot you make more than 5 of 10.
Okay.
So you got to make 5.
You could make $10.
I'm willing to put $10 on I won't make that.
Okay. All right. So hitting 3, I'm going to act like you're hitting 3. So hitting 40% of your threes. So, okay, Jack, $5 for every shot you make above 4. That increases it a little bit.
You try shooting on this.
All right.
Understand.
If I make it, I pay myself. All right. I'm terrible at basketball. All right. When we come back, John Machota, Dallas Cowboys beat writer for theathletic.com. He'll join us next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, behind the bank. Sometimes when you get the directions from Google Maps, they'll send you across the street, which is nothing anymore. But Riverbend Liquor and Wine, great Texas whiskeys there. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, Garrison Brothers. They've got them there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Great craft beers. Look, it's the summertime, hanging up by the pool, barbecues, all that stuff. Look, if you're going to be outside, you're going to need some cold beverages. So great craft beer from Riverbend Liquor and Wine. They are always churning the roster. It's summertime. That means shandies. That means summer brews. Some great stuff. There's this stuff called Agua Fuesa from Shiner that I'm sure they have. That's absolutely out of this world. They've got all that there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Plus, they're available on DoorDash. So say you're hanging out by the pool and you don't want to, get out and dry off. Well, you can just hop on your phone and order your beverages right up to your house, and they'll bring them right to you. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, now available on DoorDash. Check them out on Instagram as well. Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, behind the bank.
Alan Samuels is having the Make the Switch sales event in June on the award-winning new 2022 Ram 1500 Quad Cab Lone Star. In June, the special value is up to $7,000, or get $4,000 bonus cash and 2.9% for 72 months. Ram trucks are designed to be durable, functional, and stylish. This legendary truck gives you that first-class feel. Alan Samuels in Waco, the place to shop for Ram trucks. First responders get $500 extra cash.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy old world pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizzas since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
5 o'clock hour, John Machota, theathletic.com, joins us, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. John, thank you very much for your time. And did I see where the Cowboys had kind of a team gathering, bonding type day? Is that correct?
Yeah, they've done this in the past, especially when Jason Garrett was head coach. They usually did it like with the last practice of the mini camp week, and today, or I guess yesterday, was technically their last practice. Mike McCarthy mentioned it in our press conference with him before practice started yesterday that they could potentially do this, but there was nothing set in stone. And then this morning we got an email saying that there wasn't going to be no availability and that they were doing a team thing. And then you see some players are posting some stuff on social media. It looks like they went to the Top Golf that was pretty close. It's pretty close to where their the practice facility's at. And so I think that's what it was, that they just kind of hung out and then they had meetings and things like that, but I don't think they did anything on the field, and it doesn't sound like they're going to do anything on the field tomorrow. So basically, their mini camp week consisted of one mini camp practice, which was very similar to OTAs. There was really no difference in the practice yesterday.
So I know you got to see Jonathan Garibay. Anything to report on him?
You know, the most noticeable thing with him is the same thing that you would notice, though, if you watch Greg Zuerlein in one of these, is that he's got a really strong leg. I mean, there's just no question about that. Now, he looked pretty accurate, but it wasn't like anyone was coming to try and block a kick or anything like that. But yesterday was the first time we really got to see him kick this offseason, and there isn't really a competition. They don't have another kicker on the roster right now, and so that'll change in training camp. But, yeah, for what we saw yesterday, he certainly looks like he's capable of winning the starting job and being an NFL kicker, but it's not anywhere close to being the type of conditions that you would see on a Sunday at AT&T Stadium. So there's still a ways to go with that. I expect them to have some competition on the roster, but it wouldn't surprise me if he wins the job.
John, you mentioned Jason Garrett in passing just a moment ago. When you were sitting in those press conferences years ago, did you think this is the guy that's going to be on Football Night in America one day?
Not immediately, no. I would have thought that it was going to take. He would have to probably work doing kind of what he's doing right now with the USFL for a couple of years, and then to get that spot. And it's really nothing against. Like I know, like when you said it, and one of the first things that came to my mind is just how his delivery is a little bit dry, and,
right.
and you know, it's not like what you'd expect from. But that to me is even secondary to just the fact of just the climate we're in right now, where it just seems like every major TV job is just filled by whatever player. Well, whatever Hall of Fame player just retired, mainly a quarterback. And so to see him replacing, you know, Drew Brees in that seat, and probably for Notre Dame games as well on NBC, I mean, that's a big job. And so, yeah, no, that surprised me for sure. That he's been able to get that right away. And it's not really just the Cowboys thing either. It's just, you know, obviously things didn't work out with the Giants. But that obviously doesn't have any impact at all on what they're looking for TV wise. So I'm interested to see how it works out. I listened to some of his USFL game coverage and that, and reminded me of, you know, just talking to him in person and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, no, I wouldn't have predicted that. No.
John, what did you think of the competition at wide receiver? Competition, yeah, but just what you saw out of the wide receivers who had to fill the number 2 role yesterday?
I'll just be honest with you. I've wanted to see more. You know, that was one of my big things going into OTAs, was that, you know, I wanted to see how Jalen Tolbert and James Washington and CeeDee Lamb were all going to work together, because, you know, week 1, when they take the field against Tampa Bay, that's who I expect to be their top 3 receivers. And we haven't seen anything from Washington because he's dealing with the foot injury that kept him out of this stuff. So he's just been working off to the side. And then Tolbert worked in last week, and then he was working with the ones this week. And yeah, he showed some flashes for sure, and they lined him up in a bunch of different spots and things like that. But I mean, nothing that you would see where you'd be like, oh yeah, no, this is like immediately number one. Here we go. He's going to be ready to go. Like there's just so much projecting that still has to go. Like he made some nice catches yesterday, Tolbert did, and you can certainly see the reason why they thought highly enough of him that they almost took him in the second round. But you know how different it is when the actual pads come on. We get to see him out in Oxnard where there's, you know, a little bit more competition and things like that. I want to see how that stuff works. And it was like we just never got to see during OTAs and minicamp all three of those guys together because CD didn't go yesterday either. So it was, you know, Tolbert went out there with, he was, you know, Simi Fahoku and guys like that. How much is he even going to be playing with those guys on Sundays? So we'll see. But that was one of those storylines. You go into OTAs, you're just like, what are the top things you're looking for? And it would have been, hey, who's going to be replacing Cedric Wilson and Amari Cooper, and how do those guys look? And we just didn't get to see a ton of that these last few weeks.
So I saw your story. I think it was you on Dak Prescott, leaner, meaner, fighting machine. Your thoughts about you got to do something. You got to write about something. But your thoughts about the way he looks?
It's so true. You hit the nail on the head with that. It is really like got to write about something. And when you got guys that are just in helmets and pads, and they're not really going after it like you would have thought, like people that haven't been to those practices probably think it's a lot, you know, more hardcore than it really is. And it's a lot more walk-through stuff. They do some team drills and things like that. But yeah, I wrote about Dak because we can't talk to him yesterday, and he does look leaner. I wouldn't say it's all of a sudden like he looks like he's a transformed, completely different player. The biggest takeaway for me with him is he just looks healthier than he did last year. That's a good thing for them because with the questions they have on that offensive line, it's not even about Dak running the ball more. Him is going to be able to. There's going to be times where he has to get out of the pocket and extend plays, and he's done that well earlier in his career. We didn't see as much of it last year with him coming back from that injury and having the calf strain. So he looks more like the old Dak, you know, that I could see being more mobile in that. But again, you know, this isn't going against a defense that's tackling. They're not hitting anybody. You know, you're not allowed to touch the quarterback. So it's like. Dak, to me, stood out the most from OTAs and minicamp. But if you told me it was being played like real football with helmets on and pads, and these guys were really hitting each other and tackling to the ground, I'm sure Micah Parsons would have stole the show. But for what we got to see out there with it,
You lost him for a second?
John, you there?
Yeah, disconnected. All right, we'll try to reconnect him. John Machota, theathletic.com with us, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. They had the story he wrote in The Athletic, leaner, healthy Dak Prescott, most promising aspect of Cowboys offseason. And, yeah, I'm sure at times he probably did seem to get a little bit thick. And it's hard to say that because he's in incredible shape, but maybe the injury, the leg injury, the ankle injury created some of that as well. Maybe he just looked bulky because of all the stuff around him to protect him as well.
Yeah. John, you mentioned Cedric Wilson earlier, and he was a do-everything guy, special teams and whatever they asked of him. But one of the things that really showed last year in Kellen Moore's offense was when the Cowboys had to deal with injuries, it wasn't that big of a deal when he was there because he really took over that third wide receiver role. And in fact, in games, he was their leading receiver at times. Who do you think will be that guy for them? I mean, like, they don't need necessarily what he brought to them, but they kind of got spoiled with that last year on offense.
For sure. And there isn't one guy that I feel like will just step in there and take that role. I just think it'll be a variety of guys. I think in terms of a veteran that can step in and play multiple roles, that's going to be where James Washington fits in. In terms of how Cedric could come in and return punts with CD, I think that's more of a Tolbert thing. And we've seen him work Tolbert in a little bit in that during OTAs and minicamp at returning punts and things like that. But that's still, there's a ways to go with all of that in terms of who's going to win that job. But I think that it's going to be a split between those guys. They're in a lot better shape if Michael Gallup's 100% healthy right now. But because Michael Gallup's not 100% healthy, you're looking at a situation where you're like, okay, well, who's going to step into these wide receiver spots? And like I said earlier, we just haven't got a chance to see that in what we got to see in OTAs and minicamp. So there just isn't one guy that you're going to be able to say this guy's doing that job now. It's all going to change, and we probably won't know until we probably get to training camp.
Dalton Schultz was at the mandatory minicamp. There were thoughts that he might not be there. Was this a financial decision for him to come back so he wouldn't get fined?
It was, yeah. I mean, he would get fined every single day that he wasn't there, even though that they only did stuff for the one day. But yeah, that's what it was. He was going to not go to the final week of OTAs to just show where he stands on this whole thing about how he wants a new contract and he wants an extension. I think everybody understands that. I just don't get the sense that the Cowboys are really feeling the pressure to get that done like they would with a Dak or a Zeke. I think they're fine with playing him for that, the franchise tag, 1 year, $11 million, and then evaluate in the offseason, see where they're at. Now, if you could put up a monster year, and it might cost them, and they might have to move on. But I think that that's a gamble that they're willing to take unless he wants to just sign some type of a team-friendly deal. And I don't get the sense that he wants to do that.
No, and look, next year there's potential that Zeke's contract could come off the books, or at least a big chunk of it. So I kind of understand they're wait and see until 2023, don't you? Considering that some of their bigger contracts would be gone or completely gone then.
Yeah, absolutely. And if if he ends up having another big year, I can totally see why they would pay him what he's probably looking for right now. I just think they want to see more from him. And if they don't, then they probably got to go into free agency next year looking for another tight end. I mean, it's a tough position to fill. I just don't know that you're going to see enough in 1 year of Jake Ferguson or Sean McEwen to know, okay, we can move on from Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is their clear number one. Now they got to find out some guys behind him. And if they don't, then they're going to be a team looking for a tight end in free agency next year, and that's not something that they've really done.
All right, is there anything, and there's always something with the NFL, and it's every damn day, it's Deshaun Watson and whatever's happening there, and we discussed that a little bit yesterday. Minka Fitzpatrick signed a new deal with Pittsburgh. Daniel Snyder declines to be at a congressional hearing, and there's other stories as well. Is there anything on the overall NFL radar that's caught your attention this week?
Well, no, when you mentioned Deshaun Watson, it's going to be that, just because of the fact that this is a guy that got that fully guaranteed contract, and it seems like every week there's more girls coming forward and joining in on this lawsuit. And that to me is just wild that it's gotten to this level that it just screams that the Cleveland Browns did very little, if any, background check at all on this situation. It was like, oh, we got a chance to get a top 5 quarterback. Let's go do that. And not even looking into the ramifications of what could be coming down here, and that this whole thing isn't in the past like I think some people think it is. I don't see how you're not facing a full year suspension at least off of all this.
They literally waited until the Houston said we're not going to charge him criminally, and once that was over, they're like, oh, that's all we need.
Yep. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, I get it that you had interest in him because you thought all that stuff was clear, but to not only go out and sign him, but then give him this large deal, and then the most guaranteed money. It doesn't only look bad for the Browns; it looks bad for the entire NFL.
If Zeke was suspended for what he dealt with and what he was accused of and was never convicted or even arrested, I make sure I'm wrong here, I'll correct here legally, and he got, 4 or 5 games or whatever it was, whatever the 3 or 4 or 5 games, you would think that Deshaun Watson is looking at a very, very lengthy suspension with a meeting or decision by Roger Goodell.
I don't see how it wouldn't be at least a year. I just don't. I don't understand how they could be any less than that. And then it gets to the point where you're like, okay, now this guy hasn't played in 2 years. Like, what's it going to look like in next year after not playing for 2 years? And which is all, and I understand why these teams take a chance on stuff like that. There's always going to be some teams that'll take a chance because of how difficult it is to find a player like that. But at the same time, to guarantee all of that money, there just seems like there's a lot more questions out there that need to be answered before you give out a contract like that. It just, I don't know. It's like, you guys know, I grew up in Detroit. So when you see things like that happen with the Lions, you're like, yeah, it's the Lions. That's what kind of happens. The Browns are the exact same way. So I guarantee there are a lot of people in Cleveland that aren't that surprised by how all this went down.
John, thank you. Have a great week. Thank you very much. John Machota, theathletic.com, covering the Cowboys and some of the stories involving the NFL. I just saw this. Paul, what's your top 5 about? I want to make sure.
It's one more.
College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah. So NFL.com today, the top quarterback, wide receiver, veteran combinations. Number 1, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams.
I guess with Aaron Rodgers, you're not really knowing who the number 1 target is going to be. You got to take him out of that because his number 1 target is gone. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's tough.
Sure. Yeah, like they played college ball together. I'm sure that's in the description. And, He was the big target for Aaron Rodgers, so that'll automatically translate. That should be a huge upgrade for the Raiders. I don't know about number one in the league, though.
Well,
I think that's a little.
A lot of these are from trades, and this doesn't mean the newest ones. This basically was Russell Wilson traded from Seattle to Denver and Jerry Jeudy.
Look, I think that the Broncos are going to score a ton of points this year because of that. It's not just Jerry Jeudy. It's Cortland Sutton. It's Tim Patrick. It's KJ Hamler. They did trade Noah Fant, the tight end, in that Russell Wilson deal. So I'm not sure how that position is going to work itself out. But with those 4 receivers, the running backs they have in Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon back, their offense is going to be really good. Their defense is already okay. And yeah, I think the Broncos are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're in a tough division, but I think Russell Wilson's going to put up huge numbers.
Number 3, Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman, Indianapolis.
Come on,
that doesn't seem to be right. And then how about this one? We never see it: Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown.
I mean, that's not as good as Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins.
Tua and Tyreek Hill.
I mean,
there's a lot of hope in this thing.
Tyreek Hill would have you believe that Tua and Patrick Mahomes are
same player, same exact player. That'll be like no bump in the road at all. No.
Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown.
I guess are these the new combos?
Yeah, these are the new combos. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jalen Hurts still has a lot to show.
Dak and CD would be among the top, but
they're returning.
5 to 7. Yeah. Matthew Stafford, Allen Robinson.
He still has Cooper Kupp. So, Allen Robinson's a nice addition, but I don't know if he's any better than Odell Beckham Jr. when he's healthy or whatever. And he had a really bad year in Chicago last year, so in a free agent year.
Tom Brady, Russell Gage.
That one actually they should put up a lot higher.
And then also Carson Wentz. God, my Washington franchise
poor little scary
and
Terry
McLaurin, McLaurin is also another one. So there you
go. Terry McLaurin, the one thing I care about with the Washington Commanders now.
And he's not at camp. Yeah, he's not at camp.
And he doesn't need to be. He's done his job. I understand where he's coming from, but yeah, I'm not excited about Carson Wentz. I don't want to talk too much about that franchise because I don't want to dampen everybody else's excitement over them. But I'm just so over Daniel Snyder. I think he's scum. And, the stuff today about how he can't be at, the
congressional hearing.
Congressional hearing because he has what a timing that he's away and he can't be there in this world where we just went through an entire year of not being able to see people in person and functioned every business A-okay because we have a little thing called Zoom and there's phones and there's FaceTime, but no, he can't say anything or be there or what. I mean, he's such a scumbag,
the
man.
Other part of it is his attorney said that they'd reached out to the committee and they wanted to keep it to just the toxic workplace. And because they couldn't promise they would not ask about other things outside the toxic workplace, Daniel Snyder, a billionaire, and a self-made one too, pretty much.
Yeah.
A self-made billionaire who should be afraid of nothing was like, no. You can ask me about the fact that my employees showed their genitals to other employees, but if you want to ask me about my business practices, that's a whole nother thing that I'm not ready for. Come on, man.
All right, some chat room discussion on the George Washington, the University, and the Colonials at some point being gone in about a year from Juan M. What? My GWU getting rid of the mascot? And then Juan came back a little bit later on and made this comment about it. I get the intent, and I understand it can be a gray area, but I think this one is ridiculous. This one seems like an attempt to cleanse history of our imperfect history. And then Lem 30 just basically always thinks we're racist because of the fact we bring up something political. And I said that all mascots will be gone soon. And that we are hicks because we don't get out and about.
F you, dog. You don't know anything about us, so screw you, man. Talking about hicks. Yeah. Screw you. Ain't nothing far from a hick. Punk.
Lem 30, by the way, every damn time we bring up something political that might get into any kind of racial divide, you jump up our ass, and I don't understand why you watch us, but I'm glad you do because you must maybe hate the other shows you've attempted. But let me tell you this. I've lived in different countries. I've lived in different states. I have been migrated, and I have been integrated, and I have been involved in any kind of student, any kind of way in all sorts of schools. I love people. Don't look at me like that. Don't ever accuse me if you've never met me. And you always say something whenever. I think it's crazy that George Washington University is going to change their mascot. And I do think before it's all said and done, it's just going to be Stanford. And it's going to be Nebraska. And there won't be enough mascots. And that's part tongue-in-cheek. If you want to take it seriously, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what you think. You always want to turn it into like we don't know what the hell we're talking about. You don't know who the hell we are. So don't accuse me or Craig or Paul or anybody to do with this show of anything since you don't know us. Screw you. You get what you want now?
All right, I think you're done. You could have just left it with what I said. And I understand where you're coming from. I think it's pointless. So.
Lem 30, you'll have an arrogant point of view, and I barely watch this show. Don't watch us at all. We don't give a damn. Hang up. First time caller. Paul's Top 5 is next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Marcos.com. There are 5 locations now in Waco. There's over 1,000 stores around the country. Fastest growing pizza company in America. And Bob Mock is an owner of 5 of them in Waco, including Hewitt, Woodway, Robinson, Belmead, and China Spring. There were just 3 about 4 or 5 months ago. He's added 2 new ones in Robinson and also off Hewitt. Delicious pizza. Unlimited large 2-topping pizzas. Go online right now. Order $8.99 each. You can use the code HOT2GO. Also, the Pepperoni Magnifico, $9.99 for a large. Use the code PEPMAG as well. $3 off large specialty pizzas. Order now. The code is special 3. Unlimited medium 1-topping pizzas, $7.99 each. And you can order that now online or call your local or closest Marcos Pizza. Go online. It is Marcos.com. And on top of that, they also have much more. Pizza bowls. They have sandwiches, wings, drinks, what you need, they have them. They can even do gift cards for somebody if you want to get something for them as a gift. It's Bob Mock and 5 locations of Marcos in Waco, Texas, and 1,000 stores around the country. Go to Marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 555.
All right, one more on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot, and then I'll move on to another topic tomorrow.
So you've done 10, and 10. You could pick 12. Okay.
These are 5 guys that have to wait till next year. So they're not going to be on the ballot. I mean, they're not going to be on this year's class. But 5 guys I think you need that will have to wait till next year, which is unfortunate. But again, there's a billion people on the ballot, and it's really hard. College football is even more is way tougher because there's more teams and more people who do great things than any kind of professional sports Hall of Fame. Number 5, Virginia wide receiver Herman Moore caught a ton of passes, and this is a guy who probably needs to be in. He had a couple really good seasons in the NFL. One season they set the receptions record. But Herman Moore needs to get in, but I don't think, based on the other people that are on the ballot, he's gonna sneak through. He's kind of one of those guys who's in that like little void of if people remember him or not. But he was a dominant receiver at Virginia.
I didn't know. I knew him at Virginia. Obviously, knew him much more in Detroit with the Lions.
He had that great Thanksgiving Day game where he had like a.
But man, I got to look at the overall list. There are dozens and dozens of names among the top 15. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Number 4, Ken Dorsey, the quarterback on the greatest college football team that might have ever walked God's green earth, the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. Heisman Trophy finalist, a guy who's about to be a head coach in the NFL, by the way. But I think, again, and he had good numbers, but not great numbers. And, he's one of those guys who you're going to be like, well, like Bryant McKinney, who was on those teams, his left tackle, who never let him get hit, was on there. And I think it's a reasonable argument to make about Ken Dorsey. While he'll probably go in, the guy never got sacked. In 2000 and 2001, he never got sacked.
That's a little
when
silly.
He got hit, I mean, it's probably between those 2 years, like 22 times in 2 years that he actually got sacked. And, he got hit a little bit. He never got sacked. He got hit so little. There were times you'd watch games and you would think when he got hit, he thought it was automatically a penalty because it never happened. That offensive line was so good in front of him. So then that's not his fault. I mean, that's to his benefit. But that'll be a kind of a knock on him for people to keep him out.
Yeah, I mean, you get penalized because you had all the great players around you, but he was the perfect quarterback for them at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think pretty much anybody could have been. I mean, honestly, so that's why it's hard to navigate. How good was he really? But he was really good, and I think, he kind of gets hurt by the fact that he was surrounded by greatness and probably doesn't get enough respect because he was surrounded by greatness. Mm-hmm. So he's a little bit of a, both ways you can look at it. But yeah, great player, greatest team of all time, arguably. And yeah, I could definitely see him being in.
Yeah. Number 3, Rocky Kalmus, one of the fantastic linebackers for Bob Stoops in his first run at Oklahoma. And, I was trying to put where I would rank him as players on that team. And to me, Craig, I mean, you're going to have to, he's in the top 3 to me of players that were on those teams.
I mean, just total
of the guys that were on that 2000 team and the ones would he rank in your top 3 of those teams?
I mean, I'd have to go and dude, it's been 20 years, yeah. So I can't remember if one guy was on the 20 or the 2000 versus the 2001 team or whatever. But he'd be top 3 for sure linebackers. Yeah. Outside of that, though, you're talking about football team wide, a lot of really great players. But yeah, Rocky Kalmus is one of the greatest to ever suit up in crimson and cream. He was an incredible player, but there was Teddy Lehman, there was Roy Williams, there was so many guys. So I don't know. I'd have to sit down and look at rosters and where to place him. But Hall of Fame from that era? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Two-time consensus first-team All-American, Butkus Award winner, all-time
great
leader
player.
tackles for losses, national championship, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, four-time All-Big 12, 431 tackles. That's why he's on the ballot.
And I think he might, just because, sometimes you kind of go position by position on these things when they're so big, and Ray Lewis is on this ballot, so you're going to put in Ray Lewis, you're going to put in Rocky Kalmus. I think he might get knocked out by Ray Lewis. Number 2, Flozell Adams, who's been on this thing for like 4 years now, and he'll eventually get in. He was a great offensive lineman at Michigan State, but Flozell, the hotel, is probably going to have to wait another year. And I say this, and I put him on the list because every year we get the ballot sent to us, and because of the alphabet, he's the first name that you see. And
that could be good or bad because you know how many there are, and you go, I got to pick 12 of these, and you go back and
scroll,
you skip and you go back. What I do is I pick 12, and if there's still 20 names left that I go, and there's some that are on the 20, then I go back and I got to go through the 11 or so that I've picked, or 12 I've picked, and go back and change some. Flozell Adams, first-team All-American, Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year, 3-time player, all-big performer, allowed 2 sacks in 1997. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That seems to be pretty good. He's on the ballot. He's a hell of a player. He's a pretty good player in the NFL with the Cowboys as well.
Yeah. He was pretty good.
But that should have nothing to do with the College Hall of Fame.
Because this guy wasn't very good in the NFL, but he was one of the best college players of his era. And his suspension kept him from winning the Heisman Trophy over Ron Dade. But Peter Warrick, it's number 1, is going to have to wait a year. Was the most exciting guy in college football for 2 years. Was absolutely just a thrill to watch, especially in person. He had his little Dillard's run-in with Lavernius Coles, and that cost him a few games, all of which Florida State won without him. But even then, it cost Lavernius Coles getting kicked off the team completely.
And you have Warrick Dunn ahead of Peter Warrick.
I do.
Okay.
Warrick Dunn, and look, both of them won national titles with FSU, so it's kind of, and I didn't put Sebastian Janikowski on this list because I'm curious as to see how people treat kickers in this whole deal. It's tough to talk your way into a kicker unless you're Tony Franklin or I don't know if Martin Gramatica is in, but Martin Gramatica should be in because he was so amazing at Kansas State. Even though that whole family is kind of nutso. I grew up playing against them. They're out there. I say that with all due respect and love, but Peter Warrick will get in.
Yes, let's go to
Peter Warrick will get in.
You got off on a little tangent there.
I know.
We've never done that before.
Yeah, P-Dub should get in. I will say this. He was on the sideline for a game last year, and his hair is gray and his beard is gray, and it was a low point for me because he was a junior when I was a freshman, so...
Makes you feel like...
He was really cool. He was a great player. Made me want to wear number 9 in various sports, and some of my friends too, because he was just cool. And number 9 was a cool number at that time. But fantastic player. Was a wake-up call for me as far as guys being great college players and then turning into unbelievable NFL busts. They would have thought he would have been a major superstar, but he was just one of dozens of receivers over the years since then that have gone from college stars to just okay to not even that good. But I thought he was going to be great. And
the Bengals drafting him was not the best thing for him, but a lot of that's on him too. So
there's been guys that were return type specialists. Tim Brown ended up being a great NFL player, but there's some that were like that it just never worked out. Johnny Rodgers, Peter Warrick, Desmond Howard, among some others as well. Kevin Smith, former A&M cornerback, is on the ballot. I thought that he's somebody that should get some attention, but again, everybody's on this list for a reason because they're all great players. At least once an All-American in college. Derek Johnson from UT, of course, something that's kind of a local flavor, but also was an incredible player at the University of Texas. Okay, hope you enjoyed our ADs that we had on today from Rice, UCF, and Cincinnati. The coverage of Mitch Thompson being hired by Baylor as their baseball coach after he had been there before, 9 years at MCC, and a couple of former players in David Murphy and Jason Jennings. Cowboys coverage, Paul's Top 5. We appreciate you on the chat room, all of you. And thank you as well for those who text us today. Jack McKenzie and Emery Winter. Also, Garrett Ross running the mothership. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoak. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Good night.